Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Panamerican Trackmania Championship. It's the final weekend. We're picking a winner this weekend, and we're excited to be with you. My name is Jojo Making, and joined with me, the elite caster, Acronator. What's going on, boss? Say hello to the people.
What's going on, everyone? I'm happy to be on this side of the camera. Last weekend, qualifiers didn't exactly go well for my internet, but that's not what's important here because we have a story that's going to unfold before our very eyes between 24 players. I think 14 of which who have qualified, 9 who were invited and got to skip the qualifiers. So it's going to be quite the exciting weekend here. Jojo, why don't we go over the format a little bit of what we're going to be able to see?
So we're actually starting off with a bit of a switcheroo. It wasn't planned originally, but we're going with a time attack seeding. So the time attack seeding was supposed to happen last week, largely for the players that aren't already qualified, now are qualified of course, but because of the outages with Nadeo servers last week, we mixed it up. We're doing time attack today. So we were all excited last week to see how these players really push pace when the reset doesn't matter as much, and I'm excited to see it. So 5 maps, 6 minutes a map. We'll get to see an entire array of tracks, 2 of them new this week compared to last week, and I'm excited to hear your opinion on them for the first time too.
Yeah, definitely. So we're not going to be seeing Wingman or Effigy in terms of the tracks. Those were just for the qualifiers. This time around, we get a map from Kyle as well as Ski Freak, I believe. E squared or E2
Yeah,
is the name of it. That one in particular has had some interesting cuts. Leading up to this competition, of course, cuts are not allowed in the actual round, so we're not going to be seeing that, even if there are still some that exist, much to Ski Freak's chagrin. But yeah, we're going to be getting into that in just a little bit. We're still waiting on the lobbies to set up and whatnot. But in the meantime, the players, we should actually go over that as well. So as I mentioned before, we got 24 players, 9 of which were invited through various tournaments. The American Open, we got World Tour members, and we have some players from the South American Cup, which I was lucky enough to cast the most recent version of a couple months ago, I think it was. I don't know, time is an enigma at this point. But the invited players would be Neil, Fegley, Lingo, Charles, Kiosk, Rookie, Nats, and Simon and BMQS. Whereas, of course, the 14 qualified players from last week were North, Setins, Tom Byrne, Ricelin, Uchimas, Gabo, Munster, Mitch, CD, Tubes, Cosmos, Randomize, Unanimous, Dalgiri, and Mattheper. So we're going to be pointing them out, hopefully get a look at a good number of those players over the course of today and maybe even tomorrow. Of course, some of them will go home by the end of today, I believe. I don't know what exactly. Let me post up the schedule.
there's some consolation brackets. Everyone's
Yeah.
going to get to play Trackmania. It'll be a blast. And you mentioned a lot of new players this week that weren't here last week. I'm really interested in seeing a storyline develop of how do these players that had to qualify, that are more familiar with the maps, already warmed up in the tournament, how did they do against the big dogs that got invited? Is there going to be a bit of a back and forth? We saw North last week run away with a lot of the rounds. North's now, I guess, the 9th seed, right?
Uh, Technically 10th, actually, if you count the invited players as like the higher seeds
Yeah.
going into this. I could definitely see him outperforming some of the lower level invited people, like potentially Kiosk and Rookie, who came in from the South American Cup, right? Very good. Like every single person here today on the
Elite.
field is going to be very good at the game. Because they either have results from last weekend or they had results in previous competitions. But there is definitely some possibility, names from the qualifiers that I think could make a serious play here. Zetins and North are the 2 that stick out to me the most, but who knows? I'm totally up for some upsets, some underdog stories.
You gotta root for the Cinderella story. It'll be a blast. I was taking a look at some of the records. What I thought was interesting is there's 3 people you can always see at the top of those records. You always see Neil, you always see Lingo, you always see North. And sneaky, I was seeing Wrestling up there quite a lot. Not often the top 3, but close to top 5 quite a bit. So I think he's been putting in the hours. I want to see him make a run for it.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, there is the possibility that some of these players have played offline. I think I've only seen Fegley's record in like the 2 qualifier maps. So it is quite possible that he's hiding some lines. Granted, after the qualifiers, I'm not sure how many hidden lines are left outside of maybe the two new maps. But there is the possibility that some of these invited players in particular haven't quite shown us anything yet.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned hidden lines. There was one last week that never came out. It was on Wingman, which we're not seeing today. There was a hidden Wingman line that never came out. I was waiting, I was ready. I got it in the earpiece. They go, Jojo, there's a hidden line. Get ready for it. And it never showed up. There was a wall bang in one of the first turns. So we'll
Oh,
see.
yep.
Maybe there's a hidden line this time. But I don't even know if it's going to show up.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to wait and see. I know for a fact the two maps that were taken out from the qualifiers are two of the easier maps, and the two that are coming in were probably the hardest coming into this, outside of maybe Yoru, which pretty much everyone unanimously decided was really hard to get clean in the qualifiers. I don't think there was a round where someone didn't crash. So we are seeing Yoru once again, so we get to get some good old fashioned spec mapping in for those who enjoy some good old fashioned bonks.
So I said the time attack's going to be exciting because people can really push those lines. We'll see if the hidden lines come out in time attack, or if the players even value the seeding as much. Maybe you hold the line. What do you think? Do you hold the line for the rounds if you have it, or do you push it in time attack for the better seeding?
Honestly, I think you save it for rounds, depending on how risky it is. You know, sometimes those hidden lines are really only good for hunting and not so much for consistency. Certainly, some of these players could pull out ridiculous times. Lingo, in particular, I know likes to risk a little bit, but how much? Especially when there's prize money on the line. You got to remember. So they want to survive until tomorrow. You don't want to get into the lower bracket and have to make a miraculous run to get all the way up there. You just want to play it safe for the most part. Most of the players that I could see risking like that don't need to in order to just make it to the finals.
So it is 4 o'clock. We should be loading in a second, and I could not be more excited. It should be a great day of Trackmania.
Yeah, it seems like the lobby is not quite set up yet. Keep in mind that CD is the person setting all of this up, as well as currently a player in the bracket. He made it through the qualifiers. Everyone's asking in the discussion channel in the Discord how they get in, including the international casts as well.
So you bring up.
We're pretty much just waiting on that. Yeah, there are a few international casts if you'd like to see that. It's got Trackmania BR for the Portuguese cast, and CA by the Spanish cast, CA27 on Twitch. So if you'd rather see those languages, by all means, they are in the announcements channel as well in the Discord. That would be the best place to get all of this information.
There's actually quite a few other casts too. Some of the players that qualified and got invited are casting as well. So if you want to support the players, you can check them out. Some of the ones that I know are streaming. Unanimous is streaming right now. Cosmos24 is streaming. North is streaming. Lingo is streaming. And one of our tournament admins, Randomize, is also streaming. So strongly recommended. Boot up the Trackmania Twitch category. See who's live. There's a bunch of terrific players really racing their heart out today.
Definitely. Looks like there's a little bit of confusion. Some of the players, and I think some of the streams are not getting in to the lobby. We're trying to get that sorted out while other people worry about that. We'll stall for a little bit of time.
Well, no matter what happens, the technical issues cannot be much worse than what happened last week. So for those who don't know,
Kim.
there's a saying going around the Trackmania community, and it goes something like, Kem overcooked the servers. And as the story goes, Kem was making some updates for a live tournament, and in the process, a lot of the live events were not working. So last week, and this is where I'll give CD another huge shout out. Last week, CD, an organizer and participant of the tournament, on the fly made campaign rooms and ran the tournament all through an Excel sheet. And given the difficulty he faced, I could not be more impressed with the way he handled everything.
Oh, definitely. It could have gone much worse, but despite a few delays, everything went over relatively smooth. It was a bit delayed, but like that was going to happen anyways when you're dealing with such a large tournament with this many players. Inevitably, someone's going to be late and be like, oh, can we wait 10, 15 minutes? And that piles up dramatically. I've seen much worse. So that was really well done on his part. 'Cause he is the man behind the scenes doing a lot of these logistics.
He is, but he doesn't do it without a supporting cast. There's a bunch of impressive admins with us for the entire Pan American Trackmania Championship and the whole NCSA community. CD, Nance, Parker, Randomize, Mixotica. Those gentlemen all deserve a huge shout out because so far they've run a great tournament and I can't wait to be a part of the rest of it.
Yep, definitely. Checking as many chats as I can to see what the status is. T minus however many minutes. Time. I think we're trying to get some player perspectives through Twitch, so we're just going to be streaming someone else's stream as well. It looks like possibly Randomize is what we're checking out, but gotta wait for that to load because there's an ad on Twitch.
So one of the maps this week, being ping pong, randomizes the mapper for, and he did this in partnership with Kyle. And Kyle in particular made what is, in my opinion, the riskiest finish of all of the maps, either last week or this week. And now that we're actually watching Randomize's POV, he told me, we kept saying, you know, Randomize has great comeback opportunity. He's more familiar with this map than anybody else. And Randomize said, stop making that. Like, I'm not the one that made the risky fin. You're jinxing me every time. And now we're actually watching his POV, which gives me even more opportunity to jinx him. And I could not be more excited.
You know, I will say the ending there, to Kyle's defense, is not super risky unless you want to go like as fast as these players. If you're just going for like a clean run, it's not too hard to keep the gear, and that's really all you have to do is keep that fourth gear. But when you're trying to get like essentially close to world record pace every single time, then you do have to risk, and I can see how that gets really stressful because the turn is extremely sharp and you're within like 5 to 10 speed of dropping the gear unless you're willing to take a little bit more of an inside line as opposed to the outside dirt. So it's definitely up there. I think I would place Kyle's actual map that he did all by himself as the riskier finish because that's a pretty nasty speed check for the most part. You need like I think close to 295 speed. I haven't fully tested how low you can go and still cheese it, but I feel like at a certain speed you're just gonna hit the wall, and we'll get some opportunities to see that here in the time attack.
In that map, Kyle's second map, I believe it's pronounced Artificer. A lot of people didn't see the risky fin at first. I certainly didn't.
I think we might be able to get in now. Let's see.
All right.
I don't think so. We should be able to join and set ourselves as spectators.
All right.
Let's see. Spectator, there we go. Looks like the stream in. I do believe the stream is in. We are good to go, and you can see the players are now just working their way through Kickback Agraboo featuring Mime. A lot of tricky transitions in this map. A lot of places to clip and lose a ton of speed.
And it's a great use of plastic, which originally was only supposed to be for the Royale mode, but I'm a really big fan of how they've incorporated it in TMGL and a lot of very high-level technical tracks.
Yeah, definitely. Personally, it's one of my favorite styles of mapping, and I personally loved this map in the qualifiers, like one of the only ones I could do consistently at a decent time and not get dead last. You can see a lot of these players. This is really like a pace-based map in the truest form because it's really not too difficult. In theory, it's just like go fast, don't clip. And especially in time attack, you're going to see these players really just risk it for the biscuit.
That's a great expression. Yeah, these players really push the limit of these maps, and it's almost a shame, and I say this mostly jokingly, but it's almost a shame that you don't almost appreciate how hard these maps are. The players just make it look so easy. I mean, schmucks like me play this map. I'm no sliding all over the place. It's 20 minutes for a clean run, and then I'm kind of hoping to see the bronze medal show up. And these guys are just pushing pace, world record within point 0.2 or point 0.3 every time, and they're doing it with the pressure of a tournament as well. I could not be more impressed with the players.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. And even especially like hopping onto Lingo's perspective, which I think the stream it was on a little while ago, you can see just how tight he's taking a lot of these turns, how close he gets to gearing down some of these times. And it's ridiculous that he manages to keep those, especially the grass turn that you see right here, where that's really easy to gear down. Believe me on that one. You can try these maps for yourselves, by the way, folks. This map pack is open to the public as long as you have standard or club access. So you can see just how difficult some of these maps are, how many places there are to clip on this map in particular. You can suffer for yourself and realize how ridiculously good some of these players are.
Yeah, and Lingo in particular, we saw him really pushing pace in the North America regionals. His team won the third regional. They actually got invited to All Stars because Damascus Gaming, who is also playing today, couldn't make it. And I was really excited to see Lingo kind of show his stuff against the best players in the world. And although they couldn't play in All Stars, I'm excited to see how Lingo pushes it today. He performed extremely well in the last competition I saw him, and he's got to be one of our favorites to win this week.
Oh, definitely. I think like him, Neil, Zettins, Fegley are like on the short list of people that definitely have a serious chance to make their way. Another name that's kind of gone under the radar, even in the regionals, would have to be Charles. If you look at him, I mean, he's like top 5, top 6 in pretty much every single one of these tracks on the leaderboards, if I recall. And he is a little bit of a dark horse in this. I think a lot of people have overlooked him for a long time, and he's only getting better as of late.
Charles, I see, is rocking the air tag, and I know a lot of players, not only in this tournament, but what I saw in the regionals as well, are part of that crew. Grenader, you're more familiar with than I am. Tell me about air, because I see they're doing great things for the community.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a team that pretty much anyone in the NCSA region can join, myself included. I've been in it since day one. There are a lot of players in the regionals. There's like 8 air teams in total, like 6 or 5 of which usually participate in the regionals. So you might have been wondering, like, why is there air blue and air white and air Kentucky now? Because Kentucky Gamers, Dummy, and Cosmos joined as well. It's really just like a community that you can do whatever you want, but like the core crew that you see the most tends to just like play as many of these tournaments as possible and really push each other. So it's just a lot of like-minded competitive folks from the NCSA region. It's not like a more official organization like Neil and Exotica and Damascus Gaming. It's more just like a community to have fun with.
And if someone would be interested in joining, how would they go about doing that?
Super simple. All you got to do is join the Discord, and there's an introductions channel or team introductions. I forget what it's called. Let me check real quick. Team introduction. You just like list your info the same way that everyone else did. You can go back and see everyone else's old posts, and you just say that, and then like a week or 5 days or whatever. It's like once a week. I think on Mondays they check in. They'll let you join. It's not particularly difficult. It's not like a job application or anything like that. It's just for fun and a good place to join like-minded people if you want to improve at the game in both playing and casting and mapping or anything like that.
That sounds awesome. And Air isn't the only organization that is being represented in this tournament today. Two others that I can think of: Evo Evolution Games. They got CD who's playing. They have Lingo who's playing. They does everyone know them as kind of the forefront of Trackmania esports at this point? Known for full speed, moving into ice, moving into dirt, helping run tournaments like this. And I hear they're hosting a pretty exciting LAN in a couple months.
Yeah, that should be somewhere in Europe, as most tournaments are. That's why this one in particular is so special, that we actually get an NCSA. We also have Halcyon, another well-known team, at the very least in the NCSA region. I've seen them a lot, less so in Europe. I don't know if they're just a NA NCSA team. Either way, I see Team 300 as well, Fegley. Yeah,
And we have
lot of
Damascus Gaming as well, who
yeah.
who came first place in the regional series in NA, and in particular, Nixotica and Neil, I thought not only outplayed their opponents in many cases, power to them for winning, but were also just absolute gentlemen to their opponents along the way too, which I really respected.
Yeah, there's some really cool guys. I haven't had the chance to talk too much with Nick Exotica, but I've seen Neil hanging out with Randomize and a lot of the air folks. He hangs out in that server as well. Um, so we're done with the time attack for the Agraboo map. And now we're heading over to the one that Randomize should have Mapper's advantage right up until he gets to the finish and
Of
has
course.
mauled at Kyle every single time. It's just tradition at this point.
I'm really excited to see this map. That risky fin, although risky, it's almost not that it's risky, but it's just punishing. Like if you hit the fin and you land turtled on the ice, there's no real great way to save that except by resetting, and it's not. It's a solid second of punishment.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably the most punishing finish in this, especially because the checkpoint's so far back compared to a lot of the other finishes in this map pack. You will see Zetin's claiming he's not doing particularly well if you hop on board with him. He, of course, with 100% Canadians, a little bit of a cheeky name there with him and Tankram. French nationals that have currently reside in Canada. I believe they're studying or working there, respectively. And they've been given the opportunity to participate in things like the World Tour and this tournament as Canadians. Very, very strong players overall. Zetin's hasn't really been grinding a lot up to the qualifiers, but recently I've noticed his name starting to pop up into the leaderboards. I mean, that's a pretty decent time. What we just saw him run there is well, like 49.83 you can see in the top left corner. That's terrifyingly fast.
Yeah. I had said to myself, if anyone's hitting sub 50s, that's a good time. And we just saw two sub 50s on the first round in time attack. That might have been underselling how good these players are. We might see a lot of 49.8s.
Yeah, definitely. And even like looking, if I pull up the records, it's actually by Cheese Lover, yeah, that one's north. I always get Cheese Lover and Milk
Yeah.
Enjoyer mixed up. Milk Enjoyer is Hydra, who's not participating in this, but Cheese Lover is north. Again, he's also streaming his perspective. You can check that out if you'd like. But Neil, Lingo, Rastlin, even Charles are like right behind him with only a few tenths separating their PBs.
And one thing I noticed, the world record actually changed this week. So this map was in the map pack last week. Going into last weekend, it was a 49.492 as the world record, and now it's a 49.399. So North and all of the players are really grinding, and I can't wait to see it show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, after the qualifiers where we kind of weave through a lot of the like average level players, and you're really only left with like these gods at the game, right? There's very few people on either continent, North or South America, who could go up against these players. Like one of the only ones that comes to mind who unfortunately couldn't make it to this tournament but was invited was Karj himself, Mr. Greatest of All Time, Carl Jr. Um, Understandable that he couldn't make it. He has a life outside of also grinding for the World Cup and trying to become like a 6-time world champion, something like that.
You know he's too
So
good when you start losing count of championships.
yeah, you know he's too good when he's one of the only players that you have to count on both hands how many championships he has. But everyone here has been spared of that menace, so it's really up to everyone to take on players like Neil, like Fegley, and even Charles, who placed. I believe that those are the top three in the most recent American Open. Before that had to shut down.
And I'm really excited to see all of these terrific American players in general push each other. Because when I see guys like Carl Jr. needing two hands to count rings, I think to myself, why aren't there more North Americans in the World Tour scene? We can clearly do it.
Oh yeah,
And so,
definitely.
a tournament like this, bringing out the best of everyone, I know that the team is aiming to run a series of these. What do you think? You think we can get one more American player in World Tour, maybe in Challenger League next season?
It's definitely possible. I mean, technically, there is Enner, who is Ecuadorian in the Challenger League, but he's also, I believe, resided in France for many years now to focus on Trackmania and studies, I believe. I don't hold me to that. I don't know his entire life story, but I know he's Ecuadorian based on his Wikipedia page. Um, so technically, we do have two America's residents in in that level of play, but I think give it a couple of years, especially because the US in particular was the fastest growing country in the game as of last year, I believe it was. I remember Hylas giving out some kind of stat saying like they were the fastest growing outside of France, which is pretty impressive considering it's a French
Extremely.
game. I think give it a couple of years and it could definitely hit the masses like that for the esport, not just the casual side.
That fact just brought a smile to my face. My jaw's starting to hurt a little bit. We're on board with Cosmos here. Again, streaming right now, so please check out the players. They did a great job. They deserve some love. And I asked my fellow casters last week, and I'll ask it again. I think Cosmos has maybe the nicest skin I've ever seen in the game. The question I'll bounce to you, Acronator, does a skin make you better at the game?
It depends on how many lights it has, right? You got it always comes down to the RGB lighting as to who's really the best gamer at the end of the day, of course. But no, his skin is absolutely sick. I love the white tires as well. Not enough people paint their tires. Not enough people know how to paint their own skins. It's actually quite difficult if you don't have Substance Painter, or I think you can do it in Blender as well. I'm not privy to either of those things, so I just stick with like flat colors. It's a lot easier.
So 25 seconds left on this map. Ping pong doing its damage as usual. Can't wait to see it in rounds. Very thankful that this map is back in the map pack this week. And maybe we'll see one of the new maps coming up.
Based on the order, I believe that is the case. I think we missed Yoru. Yeah, we must have missed Yoru trying to get into the lobby. So I believe we're going over to Artificer, I believe is the name of the Kyle map. His maps are always named something similar to that. Neil, 49.5 to win that time attack. That's like within a tenth of his PV, by the way. So he means business right now.
Oh, that's going to set up for a terrific weekend. We'll let the players load into the next map. I can't wait to see Artificer. It should be a great one.
This is the one that I think, on top of ping pong, both risky finishes mapped by Kyle, of course, have probably one of the hardest riskies to hit. You need a lot of speed for, and it's difficult to keep the speed in the turns leading up to it. We'll point it out as we get there. We might even be able to watch randomize Mauled a little bit once they get going, just to see, if he has any better luck with this Kyle risky.
There was a little bit of gentleman's gaming in the chat last week. Of course, the good, good luck, have funs, but there was some, I'm, struggling, and it was a player that had won 5 straight rounds. So I'm excited to see how the players kind of chirp each other a little bit. It's even in the rule book that a little bit of chirping is welcome. So should make our jobs a little bit more fun too.
A lot of these players do know each other, so okay. Well, I said let's follow randomize, and he crashes immediately.
It's warm.
Okay,
It's
but
the
it's the
couch warm.
warm up. It's the warm up. You get it out now, so you don't have to. Um, Actually, wait. Yeah, I don't think his skin has loaded. I see what looks like a leopard skin currently, and it looks like on stream it hasn't loaded either. So that is unfortunate.
But he
For
does
randomize.
not crash.
Yeah, he doesn't crash this time. That's why you get it out in the warm-up.
So randomize up here through the dirt. We're getting our first look at the map. Excited to see it. There's right on that CP, by the way. World record cuts the corner pretty tightly and actually goes over the gap. So we'll see if players choose to risk that in rounds and in time attack.
There's a lot of turns like that one where it's a really easy to get airtime, which is obviously not the best situation because you're going to lose tenths. Especially Kyle's really good at making those kinds of situations really punishing, especially in his comp maps. A lot of triangle CPs in this map. Kind of good that it wasn't in qualifier because we'd have even more people in the mud. So thank you, CD, for that choice. But yeah, going to be seeing a lot more crashes on this one, I think, even with this extremely talented field of players.
As hard as these maps are, CD actually told me he had to turn some away because they were too difficult. Some Exotica maps, the ski-free map got turned away just because they're too hard. So if you think these are tough, wait till you see what didn't make it. It just goes to show you how good the players are.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Ski Freak at the end of the day did actually get a feature in another map. He helped with part of the route or the scenery with something. I know I've seen his name somewhere.
He's got the last map. It's a really
Right,
interesting
right,
one.
right.
I certainly wasn't good enough at it to get Other Time, but we'll see if any players push for it.
I
It
actually
actually
get a
has a
chance
couple
to.
interesting routes. I look forward to
Yeah,
casting that one with you, Akinator.
we'll get a chance to see that one next in the time attack. Neil with the 52.808. That's a world record. I just noticed in the top left corner, Neil just drove a 52.808, and his world record prior to this was a 52.811. Okay, well, yeah, so Neil came to play. That's what we can surmise.
Look out. How long have we been in this map? 2 minutes?
Uh,
Uh,
give or take, yeah.
do you think he's even warmed up yet?
I for the other players' sakes, I hope he's warmed up already. Because if he's not going full speed quite yet, that's terrifying for everyone else who has to face him in this in rounds.
Do you think this means, like, I didn't see anything in the chat. I didn't even see any nice times get thrown out in there. Do you think this is just par for the course? Does he just have a crazy offline time hidden?
I don't know. I know he's been practicing a lot with like randomize and rookie I've seen, and I think Zetins I saw at least once or twice. They just like hop in Neil's club, and they'll just hop in like voice chat in either this server or the air server and just play until like 2 a.m. So they definitely have a lot of practice on this map. I don't know in terms of offline times, but
So
yeah.
shout out Neil actually typing in the Twitch chat, all caps, I do not play offline. I never will, never have. It's for losers. Throw
I
it out.
respect at Lingo. Oh, the beef is real.
Dude, focus, Neil.
I
Great shot on
respect
the
it.
world record.
He doesn't need to focus. He already got world record in time attack. It's fine. By the way, 52 on this map is already ridiculous because three people in total have that, being Neil, North, and Lingo. And then the next highest person is Fegley with a 53 flat. So like 52 anything is just insane.
We'll see if they can keep it up in rounds, but given how effortlessly they're making it look in time attack, I am worried for those that have not practiced for 10 hours because I don't know how you drive those times cleanly.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not even just like the amount of time you put in, it's just like a deeper understanding of the game, because I can personally attest I practiced each of the qualifier maps for god somewhere between like 5 and 7 hours depending on the map, and even then I was only able to drive like gold medal times, maybe a little bit closer to author time on some of the maps consistently. And then there's these players who are driving like better than AT in rounds. Like, okay, well, I guess I'm just losing faster than I thought.
When you practiced for weekend one, did you take the time to play the last two maps at all, or did you focus primarily
No,
on,
no, I
or
I
only?
pretty much knew that I wasn't going to make it that far in the qualifier. Plus, E2 that we're gonna see in a little bit is like part pathfinding, so I could totally see how I think the first cut or two was actually discovered by accident. People had to ask in the discussion channel in the NCSA server, like, was this the intended route? And they were like, oh no, that's a cut. Don't do that.
Yeah, I can attest when I played E2, at one point I finally got to the end and I drove to the fin and then nothing happened and I go, "Wait, what's going on?" And my friends were all going, "Yeah, you missed like two CPs." Go back,
Yeah,
try
that's
again.
a little bit of a loop there. That's really easy to miss. A little bit less easy to miss now. But yeah, no, it's got well, it's 6 more minutes. But I mean, as you can see in the top left corner, Charles is the next closest to getting below 50, 53 flat. And like, okay, now they're starting to notice in game chat that he drove world record time. So it's a little bit of a delayed reaction, but of course we're supposed to notice this stuff earlier. So Neil, of course, is gonna win win that.
Who'd have thunk it? Drive world record, win time attack.
Yeah. And now we get to see E2, which is a ridiculous map, in my opinion. A lot of people's opinions. It's for a lot of different reasons. You'll be able to see it. It's the route is not as clearly discerned as basically every other map in this pack. But once you do know it, it's actually quite smooth. It's just kind of like remembering, because there's not a ton of landmarks to remember where you're supposed to be going.
What's interesting is if the players are only noticing now that Neil drove world record, It's possible they're not looking too much at the UI around them, or maybe they just have focus mode on. And I wonder if that's going to play into rounds. Are they going to turn off the HUD in rounds, and maybe we'll see instances where players can play it safe because they have a huge lead and they just don't know. I wonder if this is indicative of their playstyle.
I know at least when they were practicing, Randomize would do that quite a lot. It really depends on the player, and I don't know what each and every single one of them does, but I think it depends on how much the pressure gets to them. Uh, who knows? They would have to tell us essentially, or we'd have to be able to see their perspective, which in some cases you can. Again, go check out the player streams. A lot of them have posted in the NCSA Discord's self promo channel, so you can go see for yourself uh, whether they do or not.
And for anyone that is inspired by these maps and wants to play in events like these, not only please check them out in the club, the PATC club in Trackmania's UI, but check out the Discord as well. It is linked in the club, so if you need the link, it's in the game available for you. And there's a lot of really cool people. And one of the things I saw this week was some scrims going on. So we'll see if the scrims help those players at all. I know Lingo is in there. Randomize was in there. A couple great players were too.
So, if chat was watching the in-game chat, CD mentioned that this is actually the wrong version of the map they're playing for Time Attack. The main differences between the different versions, I think, was just some scenery to block some of the cuts. Of course, they're not allowed to cut anyways. It's in the rulebook, but the correct version will be in 4 rounds, so don't worry about that. The route is the exact same as far as I could tell. Again, it's really hard to visualize the route. I mean, you can see here, you're looking at Dogiri. You just have to memorize this stuff, really. There's no easy way about it.
It's a really cool map. I really like, and hopefully we'll see it up in a minute. Let's hop on board with Neo, who's just started a clean run. Hopefully we'll see the part I get to in a moment. But there's a booster where you basically take none of the booster. It basically looks like an RPG.
Oh. So much for the clean run.
So much for the clean run. Let's see. Lingo's about to get there. If we can. Oh no, Lingo reset too. Don't. We're gonna jinx the players. I'll get the jinxes out of the way now, so the players can drive clean in rounds where it really counts.
As far as I'm concerned, and I've said this before, I think in South American Cup, casting curses are just part of esports. It's on the players to procure whatever voodoo magic they need to avoid the caster curse, because we can't stop it. It's our job to talk, right? They just need to get better. Forehead skill issue if you got caster cursed.
One of the things I've noticed about this map is it might be the hardest AT. The AT is a 103.6 and the record by Lingo is a 103.4. Whereas on other maps, players can really push 5, 6 hundredths away or tenths away from world record from the author time. That's not happening on this map. So right now, the lowest time is a 104.3, a full second behind world record.
Yeah, that tends to happen from Key Freak maps. Its ATs are pretty darn fast, so really anything AT here is going to be probably first place in rounds, barring like maybe the grand finals where these play, like every single player there is going to be insane.
But would it really be a true North American championship if it didn't have a full Ski Free map?
Yeah, right.
Like Ski Freak, known as one of the best, mappers in the world, let alone North America and America. But also running a bunch of mapping competitions, a monthly mapping competition with a really cool theme every month. I've heard from a lot of people participating that it's a really fun time. So if you're part of the mapping community, you should check those out. Ski Freak really pushing a lot of the beauty in Trackmania with his mapping comps.
Yeah, and especially with such a European dominant game, I think it's all the more important to support our own scene, right? The NCSA scene unfortunately doesn't get a lot of stuff like this, or what Ski Freak's doing, or what a lot of these people are doing. And I think it's, especially with the extreme growing player base, eventually they're going to be looking to get more serious as opposed to just the casual people who just play campaign. And we want to make sure that the infrastructure is there to expand upon when we do get more people who are looking to get serious into stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And now that the console release is out too, you got to think that that's going to bring in some really young guns to the North American scene.
Lingo with another really good time, 103.8. Keep in mind this is a slightly different version of the map, but that's fast regardless. The route is mostly unchanged.
It's a beautiful map. It's going to do a lot of damage in rounds. And we actually just saw it with Lingo. That start has a really intricate dirt section where Record actually kind of bounces over the little lumps. You almost want to go straight, and that's a huge risk. I'm glad we get to see it at least in rounds, or at least in time attack. We'll see if that comes out in rounds.
Uh,
What?
Chat's freaking out because Neo goes, "This map feels different for some reason." I'm not sure if he's trolling and just legitimately did not notice um, CD not say before that this was the wrong version of the map. Either way, we we got the qualifier is now finished, or the time attack seeding. Really, it's not so much a qualifier. So we got the 24 spots for the seeds. Going to be going into rounds in just a little bit.
So
And
what'd you think, Acronator? Did it meet your expectations? Are you now that you've been in the booth for this? Is it as fun in the booth as it was playing the event?
well, between you and me, I'm much better at casting than I am playing the game for now. So I'm much more comfortable in this side of the camera. But pretty much most of the players that I saw doing extremely well were the ones that I was expecting to do well. I wasn't really paying too much attention to the people who were like at the very bottom of the leaderboard. It's kind of hard to tell because a lot of them would be respawning constantly. But we'll get a better feel for that once we start the rounds and we see physically with the only 4 people to spectate who's in front, who is in the back. I think the front runners are going to be the usual suspects for the most part.
I am extremely excited that we got to see a world record. That's what I was hoping for. I had my fingers crossed, and we got it. So with that, that should wrap up the qualifier. We're going to take a short break, and then we will come back and take you through the rounds. See you guys shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is time for Cup mode. We've gone through the qualifier, we got a few minutes, and we're going to get right into it. The format that we're following for this upper bracket round one, we've got Cup mode, like I mentioned. The map order is going to be completely random. We're going to do 4 rounds per map, 100-point limit. There's going to be 2 winners, minute of warm up, okay. Finish timeout 15, respawns allowed. It should be a banger. The players are loading in. It's an all Canadian round, except for Mitch. Acronator, tell us about our players.
Well, as Jojo just said, it's almost 100% Canadians. We got 5/6 of the lobby from a land up north. Mitch is the only one messing up the lineup there, perhaps messing up some of the rankings as well. But the names to keep an eye out for, especially on the top, in terms of the top seeding, would be Lingo and Zetins, Uchimas, Mitch, Simon, and Tubes are the bottom 4 in terms of the time attack seeding on that. But honestly, at this point, I'm not sure what to expect other than Lingo and Zetins to be battling it out for that first place. I'm not sure who could be challenging for that third place, because time attack is very different from rounds where you can go for those extreme lines just to eke out that little bit of extra time gained. Whereas now in rounds, you kind of have to be consistent. You can't crash. If you respawn, then these players are going to run circles around you.
Yeah, definitely. You cannot be respawning. And one person I'm excited to see is Lingo. He's got top times on all of these maps, but because he didn't play last week, we haven't seen him drive rounds. So we don't know if those are, 1 in 100 runs, or if he's going to be popping those times consistently. And for the sake of the stream, I hope it's consistent. It's going to be fun to watch.
If his performance, the less trolly performances in World Cup, World Tour regionals are anything to go by, I think he's going to be consistently top of the lobby. Zetin's really being the only one who can challenge him is my guess. Zetin's also terrifyingly fast in a lot of these. Also did have to make his way through the qualifier, so had a lot more practice on most of these maps, at least the 3 that aren't that are consistent from the qualifier as well. And we're going to be getting the match started in just a little bit. There is going to be a quick warm-up now that everyone's in it, ready to go.
Are we starting on E2?
Yep, we are. So,
do you think that is a benefit or a detriment to the players to get arguably the hardest map out of the way?
ooh, I don't know. I think it'll be good for their mental, having played a lot of this match, not having to worry about this map. Of course, there is a potential if it drags on long enough that it'll cycle back around to this, but they'll have a long way to go before that point. So I'd like to think it's going to be to their advantage, as much as this map can be to anyone's advantage.
And speaking of advantages, do you think this Lone Star American in the Great White North with the rest of the crew, do you think that's an advantage for Mitch? Do you think that's given him a bit more firepower to beat the Canadians?
Other than perhaps a little bit more motivation to be like USA #1, I don't know. I don't know if he's really worried about that kind of thing. I wish we had more time to interview players beforehand. That'd be a little bit fun. But either way, maybe someday in the future as we expand upon this tournament. But either way, race is starting for real this time. No more opportunities to crash if these players want to make a name for themselves. Here, Mitch immediately has to slow down, release a little bit, and will be trailing up the rear with Simon. You saw Lingo there briefly getting a little bit shaky, but so far keeping it clean up in the lead.
Now we see a couple of bonks. We're on board with Mitch in 3rd place comfortably, but he's going to clip his wheel, and that's going to...
no.
Oh, that's a bad place to lose it. We can hop on board with Simon, who's still in the chase. We're getting a real show of how tricky this map can be as our players try to hit the outside dirt lines, keep as much speed as possible, into the sneaky little section where you just barely clip that booster, and then you need a clean grass slide to keep the speed.
You could see Simon there had to release and almost bonk the wall, and is now a good 2 seconds behind Lingo, who's just pulling it up nice and clean up in the lead. Zetin's actually coming back with a bit of a vengeance now, made up some time in that 4th place. Will be able to steal that away from Simon, but I don't think, never mind, he manages to steal away third place as well because Uchimas crashes there, and actually Mitch even manages to get that fifth place. A little bit in the mud there for Uchimas, but it's just one round. Nothing to worry about quite yet. You just gotta shake it off.
Shake it off, get the nerves out. Like we said, you want the bonks out early, clean blood to get you through the rest of the way. And to be honest, given that everyone's going to bonk on this map, you might as well get them out. You might as well get those bonks out of the way on this map in particular.
One name last round that was surprisingly consistently up in the lead a lot was Tubes, another member of Air. It's a little bit of bias for me, but not so much that it matters. Where he was pretty consistently like in that third or fourth place spot. He wasn't the fastest, but he was very safely not making any major mistakes. And as we've said before, this map is really tricky, really risky if you want to eke out the times that Lingo is pulling. So he's going to be able to steal away a lot of these points from the top players who are risking that much.
Right now, on board with Tubes in a battle with Mitch for fourth place. We get a great view of all the players. Lingo, as expected, pulling out ahead, but that's impressive so far. All players getting the outside dirt line properly as Tubes continues through into the open grass section. This part really tricky. You got to watch the no slide here. Everyone gets the proper drift, and now just the risky fin. It took one Punisher, and it seems to have not done too much damage this time around. A clean time from a Lingo, a 1036.
That's pretty darn fast. And again, Tubes up into that third place spot. He's going to be battling with Zetins for second place in the lobby. And again, like a lot of these players that have the potential to do better. I mean, keep in mind, Tubes is the lowest seeded player in this match. He's 23rd from the time attack seeding. Everyone got better times than him overall. But he's now tied for second because consistency matters a lot more in situations like this.
Speaking of consistency, Lingo with an early bonk. That's his first slip up. When we were watching him in World Tour that first day of regionals, he won every round for for 2 rounds of the tournament. It was like 6 or 7 rounds of in-game play before anyone got him. And despite the bonk, he now has a ton of speed. If you are a competitor right now and you saw Lingo bonk early and he's already pushing second place with half the map left, you've got to be shaking.
Zetins, he's coming for it. He's pulling a good old-fashioned Lingo. Gets a little bit of an awkward outside line there, so Tubes able to keep that second place spot for the time being. Zetins touches the side there, and we'll get that acceleration penalty. Will Tubes be able to hold the pressure together? He will not.
No.
Lingo comes back from sixth place, steals the round away with a 104.9. That is a risky line that you saw him do towards the latter half, but hey, it worked.
102, 104.9 with a clip. It's 3 rounds in a row. We're going to count them off like Jordan and his rings. Can we get 6 in a row? What is going on?
Unbelievable performance from Lingo. And I mean, he's 8 points ahead of the next highest person. This is just going to steamroll in his favor the further we're allowed to go into this map. Now, granted, I believe this is the last round of this map, so might as well get 4 while he can.
Well, while it's the last round, let's take a look at a new face, Utsumas, with a beautiful Carl Jr. car skin. Maybe that's trying to inspire him. And so far, in third place with Lingo, who takes a bonk. Utsumas pushing for first. That'll be a great way to wrap up this map and a huge confidence booster if he can hold. Into the booster section, both the players ahead with nice lines through the grass. Don't risk too much on the dirt. It's not really worth the extra time save here, but on this turn, the outside matters. They're going to go into the open grass section here in a moment. Oh, that's going to be a tough clip.
No. Zetins does manage to keep it together. He has been releasing and having to break tap here and there just to keep it stable, but I mean, he finally gets to dethrone Lingo's first place, and Lingo still fighting for that fourth place spot. Will manage to avoid any major crashes at the end there, but Mitch gets a crucial 8 points there, bringing him up to 20 for the lobby, and denying both Tubes and Lingo, I believe, for getting too many extra points. Actually, Mitch shoots up to fourth place in the lobby as we move over. This should be Yoru, which we haven't actually seen today because we missed it in the time attack seating.
Are we getting ping pong?
Or is
Is
it
it ping pong or
Oh,
Yoru?
it is ping pong. Okay.
It's ping pong. I believe the map order is random, so I guess we pulled ping pong this time around. But after one round, or after one map rather, we got Lingo in the lead with 35 points. Zetin's close following despite Lingo's strong performance, 32. Tubes with 24 points, Mitch with 20, Simon with 17, and Yutsumas with 16. But this is anyone's game.
Definitely keep in mind that the points drop off rather dramatically the further you go down in the placings for each round. 10 points goes a long way to catch up. Well, this is the warm-up, so don't worry too much about any crashes there. Lingo goes far off to the left, but he's got about 30 seconds to get things together. And like we said, even Uchimas and Simon with 16 and 17 points respectively, they're not completely out of it yet. The lobby goes up to like what 100 points,
Yep.
give or take. So there is quite a lot of time, and these maps have a good amount of variety. This map, of course, as randomized would tell you, the finish is not so much risky but punishing if you fail to keep the gear, which is well, keeping the gear is easier said than done. I'll say that much. It's not the hardest thing in this entire map pack, but it can be demanding at times.
And with that, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start on board with Lingo, see if our first seed can show us how the map is done. He's going to start early with the inside line into the low plastic line, and it's going to start off with a lead right off the bat.
I think he was the only one taking that extreme inside approach as well. You can see Zetin's battling him for that first place spot. For the time being, he does have a little bit of extra speed. This is where he crashed in the warm-up, but I mean, hey, you get it out of your system now, and
Well, it seems like getting it out of your system worked because this has been a clean round so far. Zetins and Lingo are really pushing it. Mitch not far behind, but that might have been a clip. Something happened to Lingo. I don't know what it is, but Zetins now with the lead. This would let him take over the first place in the entire match. We'll see if he can hold through the outside dirt here. And the risky fin.
Enough.
That'll work. Lingo, despite winning the first 3 rounds, now with 2 straight bonks, and drops out of first place. You gotta wonder, is he gonna start playing with his head?
There definitely is a balance to be had here. He's obviously an insanely talented player, but there is that balance between risking and keeping it consistent. And I think Zetins has been keeping it a lot more consistent on this map at the very least, whereas Lingo on the other map, everyone was crashing, even Zetins, so it was a little bit easier. This map is just pure pace-based, though, similar to Way Back by Agrabrew, which we'll also see at some point in this match, probably. So you really just have to push it if you want to go all the way, which you can see Lingo doing. I mean, when he's not crashing, he's about a tenth ahead of the next fastest person.
There's a lot of great pace, and one of the players doing it right now is Utsumas, who needs some points. He's behind in the scoreboard, but not in this map. He's in 4th place, which is ahead of his placement, and he's got a lot of speed. Might be able to catch up here with a nice outside dirt line. He's really safing it on the inside line. We'll see if he makes the risky fin. He does, and holds off Mitch. That'll be a little bit of a confidence booster.
Definitely, and that's what I was saying during the time attack, where you can safe that dirt turn, but you are going to lose probably like a tenth to maybe 2/10 to people like Lingo, who are going the full outside dirt. Like, you know, if the paint was any thicker on their tires, they'd clip that kind of line. So good showing from Uchimas, but he's going to need to be faster and a little bit riskier if he wants to get up there in the rankings and steal a few more points away from the competition.
On board here with Simon, someone that I thought could really play spoiler for a lot of these rounds. Off to a weaker start. We haven't seen him atop the leaderboard on this map, so if he can do well here, it'll really help him into the latter part of this tournament. Avoids a couple bonks, but still a ways behind. He's really going to have to risk.
Definitely, and like I said, it's just a pace-based map. If you let off the gas, quite literally, at any point in this map, you're going to find yourself pretty far behind, so he's going to have to take the risky approach. Goes for the inside, more stable approach. I don't think he's going to be able to steal away a spot. He actually gets in front of Tubes by just a couple hundredths, really, like 300ths and some change.
The difference there might have actually been Tube's entry to the risky fin. I think he just clipped, got a bit of an upwards bounce, and that was the difference between the two positions.
Pretty much, yeah. And I haven't been keeping track if this is the 3rd or 4th round on this map, but it's getting close to the end of this map, so the players are going to have to steal away as many points as they can. The front runners thus far are Zetins and Lingo. Tubes with a pretty safe third place for the time being. Again, he came in second to last in the time attack seeding in general. So the fact that he's doing this well in rounds is really saying quite a bit. And then everyone else just a few points behind him, trailing up the rear three.
Yeah, Tube so far been extremely impressive. Hopefully that gives him even more confidence going to the next maps and lets him push pace. But you gotta wonder, given how well he's been doing in these rounds, did he just practice for consistency instead of pace? Is he just in his wheelhouse now? What do you think?
That is quite possible. That's what a lot of players I saw tried to do in the qualifiers, and for some of them it worked out, for some of them not so much. It really depends on how fast you can go consistently. And my guess is that a lot of the players in today's time attack seating might have gone more for like the just full blown pedal to the metal. Don't care if you crash, whereas Tubes might have gone for more like the consistently fast times, and effectively what we're seeing now in these maps where he's doing really well.
So we went from Kyle's risky fin to Kyle's full map with just as risky of a fin. So excited to see Artificer in cup mode with rounds. No safe. You can't risk it anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot of places to clip here, a lot of places to lose the gear, believe me on that one. Through personal experience, I know, but I also didn't have to play this one competitively. So, as you can see, they're just getting ready for the warm up. We might be able to see some of the players go for the risky finish as they get closer to the end of the map. Not Zetins, though. He might not be able to reach the finish in the warm up. We do have, is that Lingo and Tubes, I believe, up in the front. No,
From your
Tubes crashed.
experience, the exit triangle CP that we just saw a couple players bonk, does that save? But can you save it and still heat in the round?
Yes. You lose a lot of speed, but not a ton of time, and you want as much speed as you can possibly get for the upcoming turn. So you do probably lose maybe a quarter second when when you're versing players like Lingo and Zetins and thus far Tubes. You don't really want to save it that much. Like that might be a bit too egregious of a time loss,
Yeah. We'll see if anyone has to, last second change their mind, save it because of whatever weird line they're on. But into the first elimination round, and that's not how Lingo wanted to start it, not how Tubes wanted to start it either. A couple of bonks early. We're going to see some damage. Kyle somewhere smiling. He'll be on the cast later, and you can really hear the joy in his voice when players bonk on his map.
Well, thus far, Zetins is up in the lead by about a full tenth. Of course, taking the triangle, you can see the speed and the angle just gives him a much better push for the dirt turn, so it retains so much speed coming into the plastic section, and it just snowballs from there. You can see he's a full second ahead of everyone else. I don't even know what happened. If we go back towards Lingo, let's go. See his perspective. He's now fighting for second place against Simon. Goes for a very inside approach coming in up to the final approach.
Lingo smelled blood. He had a bad start, but that is not going to stop him from risking all he can to get second place. If you're Lingo with that bad of a start and this good of an outcome, that's got to let you really breathe a sigh of relief.
Well, he's got that famous clip now where he was playing the World Tour Regional, I think number 2 on stage 1 with Buckley still, and he completely crashed out. I think it was actually the famous Trolla match where for like 17 to 20 on slowdown, and he crashed, was in 4th place, thinking, okay, well, I think it was Air 300 or something like that, and just managed to go all the way back, claw back like 5 seconds worth of time. He definitely still has that skill here as well.
This round, like the last one, sees Zetins in front, another great performance. And what was interesting was last round, despite being a full second ahead, he was coming within pixels of clipping on the outside dirt turn, which either tells you how confident he is, or maybe the fact that he wasn't looking at the scoreboard.
Lingo going for an extremely risky line here, really pushing everything he can, and it shows in the splits. He manages to pass everyone else, beats Zetins by just under a tenth of a second, and will claim first place for this round. Much needed points as well, because he, was trailing. Now he's tied with Zetins, and they're getting close to that points limit, by the way.
I can't wait to see finalist mode. We'll get to see if the players take a different strategy and risk even more than they already are, if that's even possible.
Worth noting as well that Tubes is still somewhat in the lead of the bottom four in the third place, but only by a couple of points, and everyone else is pretty darn close to each other within a couple of points. So none of the bottom four are fully out of fighting for third, although I think they're probably out of fighting for the top two unless Lingo and Zetins completely choke, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, you know what? He needed a dream catcher or something. That's his fault. He can't allow himself to be cursed like that.
Look, Simon's in last place in the points, but let's hop on board with him. He's in third place, fighting with Lingo, who just overtook. Simon's going to take an earlier and outside drift, going to lose him a bit of speed, but he holds a nice angle through the dirt to keep speed here. He goes more outside on the plastic than Lingo, and it looks like he's just going to hope to hold third place because he's not taking the same risk as Lingo is.
We'll
But
be able to
that's
make that risky finish with about like 295 speed, so that is still pretty safe. Honestly, he might have been able to even make that with like 290, 285. Again, I don't know exactly the lower limit of that, but it is difficult to keep the speed here, something that these players make look really easy.
Zetins made it look a little bit harder with that full crash on the side. That's going to hurt him. Lingo's going to take a 6-point lead. Zetins was in first place and just fully took a face planet to the side pole. Kyle, again, smiling somewhere. It makes me feel a little bit better that I'm not alone in bonking because these players are making the map look so easy and it can be so frustrating to watch.
Well, we can thank Lingo for that one because he's definitely putting a lot of pressure on to Zetins. And now with a 6-point lead as well, Lingo, if he wins this round, he's in finalist mode. Currently up in the lead. Let's go on board with Uchimas. He's up into third place and only a few tenths behind the top runners.
Uchimas has put on a lot of great pace. There's been 3 or 4 maps where he's first, second, third for a little bit, but he hasn't broken through for the win yet. Really hope to see him push, especially as our players might get into finalist mode. It might be a huge advantage for him.
Looks like he will be able to keep it together just barely in third place in front of Tubes, but Tubes definitely had more speed. If the finish was like another block forward, I think he might have been able to steal that one away. Either way, Lingo now officially in finalist mode. Zetins, I think he just has to finish next round in order to get finalist, so the pressure is not on him outside of having to beat Lingo in this next map, which I'm not actually sure which one it'll be. Maybe Yoru? We have yet to see that one today, and it is in fact in the map pack. We just missed it in a time attack. No, this is way back. So Yoru, possibly to the delight of these players, is going to be last.
Lingo thinking to himself, I just gotta win so that I don't play Yoru. I just gotta win so I don't play Yoru. We'll see how Kickback does for these players. And what's interesting here is featured by Mime, one of the mappers, a TM World Tour player, making our players push the limits just like Mime does on a weekly basis.
And I feel like you can always tell the sections that are Mimes because he has that like signature style with the plastic and the dirt, right? Like this section, I'd be shocked if Mime didn't map that part. It feels very much like a Mime map.
Gotta find the keyboard friendly section. Ah, yes, Mime.
Pretty much, yeah. And then we got about 30 seconds remaining, a little bit less now for the warm-up. This is another map, much like ping pong, where it's just pace-based. You just got to push it as hard as possible because it's not too risky, although there are definitely sections where you can clip. But even the risky finish is pretty darn easy. I don't even know what the speed check is there, but it's not very hard.
If you're Lingo who just got finalist, are you happy that the map changed, or would you prefer it to stay
I don't know.
artificial?
He wasn't as dominant on the last map, so I think this might be a breath of fresh air for him. Of course, that is also coming with the risk that there's not a ton to force people to crash, so he's the one who has the onus on him to really push it as hard as possible.
Right off the start there, if you saw it, Lingo got early grip on the downhill and just gained 0.1 in the first 0.1 seconds of the map. And now with finalist mode is in clear first place, and it's already his round to lose as he gets a clean drift into the mine plastic section. Go through one slalom, go through the second slalom, gets a little bit further outside than he probably wants to, but still has speed, and then they could not avoid the bonk.
Yeah, he's going to be in the mud for that one, probably even falling behind Tubes, who's going to have better speed. Not quite, but he is up there in that third place spot. You can see from Tubes' perspective, Lingo challenging Zetins, but there's really not a ton of space remaining. Lingo goes further inside, doesn't quite have the speed, and Zetins manages to hold off the finalist and actually gain finalists of his own. We've got a double red F in the lobby now.
That took a lot of gut check from Zettins. I, for one, would not have been able to hold that pressure, and Lingo really scared him at the end there with that inside line. It was closer than it looked.
Tubes with a nice amount of points on the board, and it's really up to him. I mean, he's been getting consistent third place spots in these rounds thus far. And I mean, you got two finalists. You don't want them to get that first place, but of course they're going to be battling with each other and not really worried about anyone else at this point.
Take in how well Lingo and Zettins have been playing. Tubes is in fourth, or rather in third. If Tubes were to win the next 3 rounds, he still would not be in finalist mode. That's how well Zettins and Lingo are playing.
Well, let's hop on board with Lingo, currently in second place, going for a little bit more of an inside approach on the dirt there. Manages to keep the speed necessary, is gaining on Zettins, but not quite there. The quote-unquote Canadian player is keeping the other actual Canadian player at bay for the time being. Lingo going very inside. I think he has the speed to hold it together. Lingo will claim first place, breaking Zetin's heart.
As much as I'm happy to see Lingo put in a great time of 52.8, I'm sad that we're not going to see another battle between Lingo and Zettins for a little bit. It was really fun to see them push the pace, and now Zettin's just a clear favorite to win one of the next 2-3 rounds at latest.
Yeah, that's a lot of denying that they have to do to get someone else into the finalist position. I mean, Tubes is the closest, but he's like 40 points away, just about. So, or actually, no, closer to 100 or 30 points away. He needs 101, not 110.
With Lingo out now, it's important to notice that it's the 3-point score that's going to leave the scoreboard. So now the difference where Tubes and Zettin, or rather where Tubes and like Simon would be fighting for 3 versus 4 points, they're now fighting for 8 versus 6 points. So the gaps are going to close and widen much quicker without Lingo in the mix.
Hopping on board to Uchimas right now. He is battling it out with Zettins, but I think he gets a little bit of an awkward approach there, so he's left falling all the way down. He's down in last place now. Tubes really trying to deny, but I don't think it's going to happen. Zettins will claim his swift second place, and I don't even remember how many places we're fighting for here. I think it's top 4, right? And the bottom 2 go down to lower bracket, something like that.
Just checking. It's just top 2.
Just top 2.
That's
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, then that's all we got for that match. I don't know if any other matches are currently ongoing still that we can hop into.
Let's take a look. That was a pretty short one, so we might be able to find another map going.
Let's see. Round match 3, perhaps? That one looked close, just looking at the bracket.
As we load into it, any final thoughts on that first map we saw, or that first match we saw? I was thoroughly impressed.
Relatively expected here as we get into this match, so I think we're all loaded in. And actually, Fegley already got first place. BMQS in a finalist position, and it looks like he is definitely not winning this round. So at the very least, we're going to see more way back. Yeah, BMQS getting 4th place out of 5 in that round. So still a little bit of ways to go for him. And actually, Rookie, now finalist as well.
Your fellow air compatriot, let's see if he can take flight. Going into a map switch, that's going to mess with the players. 2 finalists, fresh map.
I think the randomized order is the same for each lobby, so I'm pretty sure this is actually Yoru. Yes, the first time we're seeing it. They're like, what, an hour and a half into the stream just about, and we've finally seen Yoru for the first time. Yeah, we've got actually quite a few air members in here. Gabo and Rookie are both air members.
And sneaky, Evo CD with 96 points. If Rookie and BMQS don't wrap this up, they're going to have a pro full speed player, full speed behind them.
Definitely all of this map is certainly not full speed, much to his dismay, I guess. I don't know. He's doing pretty well. Actually, looking at the points in the lobby, this looks a lot closer in general, which is kind of what we predicted to happen, just looking at the bracket before actually coming back from the break after the time attack, because I believe the last place runners in the previous match only had 45 or so points, so unanimous having 61 means that they must be doing pretty well.
It was interesting as I spoke with CD in preparations for this week and last week. I was, impressed with the times he was putting up on the leaderboard for such a technically precise map. And I go, CD, like I thought full speed was your thing. Like, when'd you get so goated at this stuff? And he goes, actually, as much as I like full speed, I just like really, really precise maps. And in full speed, if your one little speed drift isn't extremely precise, you can lose a tenth. And in maps like this, it's very similar. Just now you're pressing the brake key, making it even harder.
Full speed players, when they have to press more than 3 buttons, I should know. I love full speed as well. Either
Likewise.
way, the match is started in earnest. Spec, if you're watching, you get to watch your map be the menace of, at the very least, I think that was BMQS who crashed out, so that's leaving. No, that was actually Rookie. So BMQS up in the lead. If we could hop on board with Gabo, just a little bit behind. He's the one who has to play spoiler right now to one of the finalists.
Let's see if he can do it. Rocking a Red Bull skin. He's gonna have to push the pace. Inside line risks the no drift and manages to get around it through to the grass section. Stays low. That'll give him a bit of extra speed to try to play spoiler. This dirt might make the difference, but he's gonna clip his wheel, and that's gonna hurt.
I think that's going to be BMQS taking that second finalist spot. Yep, sure enough. Rookie put up a good fight. He even managed to deny BMQS there for at least one round that we saw, but not quite enough. Fegley and BMQS, who I think were even the top two seeded players.
They were.
Yeah.
That's two matches with the two top seeded players going in. Hopefully, we get to see some upsets. Everyone loves a Cinderella story. But that was another great round. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, BMQS had a nice little custom skin there with a little yup emoji on it. So I'm sure when he won that finalist, he's sitting there going, "Yep." So
I believe match one is still going on. Nope, it literally just finished. Doesn't even show who was there, so we're gonna have to wait until the bracket catches up. So stay tuned, folks. We're gonna be coming back once we figure out the next round and whatnot. So don't go anywhere. There's definitely more rounds to be played today. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hello, everybody. We are back today with the PATC playoffs qualifiers. I am Kyle, your current narrator for the next two rounds, and I am joined here now today with for sorry, I'm joined with Shicely.
Hi. Phenomenal introduction there, Kyle. Uh, no, I really don't know what to expect here. Um, we are going to be taking a look at Kiosk, Cosmos, Unanimous, and why am I blanking on the Tubes? The one I probably should have remembered. But we're gonna be watching those guys. It seems like we're gonna be starting off on Yoru here. By the look of things. That's where we're starting off, and then it's just random from there on out. So I have no idea what's going to be coming next. But I'm pretty excited. Kyle, do you have any predictions for this upcoming rounds we're going to see?
Ooh, I'd say maybe Kiosk could take first here, potentially, followed by Tubes, and then Cosmos third and Unanimous fourth. But
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to these rounds because it's most likely gonna be very close rounds. All players
Mhm.
are very close to each other in levels of skill, and yeah.
Absolutely. And now that Kiosk pick is that a biased one because he's Brazilian?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
But I mean, I've seen this guy play. He is good.
Yeah.
It's part what's the word again? Um, because he's Brazilian, but it is
Yeah.
also because of his skill. I know how good this guy can do for himself.
You know, to be fair, it's the same thing for me with Tubes. Also Canadian, and he shows up. He knows what he's doing. He's incredible at the game. So we are now starting here with a small warm up to really get a test here. Let's actually have a take a look at Kiosk here for warm up. See what he's doing here. See how well he matches up to the rest of them. He's getting some pretty good lines, good exit speed. Do you have any like time predictions here, Kyle?
Maybe, well, based on last week, we could see like 101s, maybe one flats.
Okay.
But I'm hoping to see one flats here. Like 101s is probably going to happen, but one flats would be amazing.
I'm not gonna lie here. Looking at Kiosk, he's looking pretty good. I think you might be honest on that. I don't think it was completely because he's Brazilian. He's actually insane.
Yeah, told you.
These these lines are incredible. The exit speed's incredible.
I did
So
not
we
get
are
to see
going to,
what time.
yep. Unfortunately, but I imagine it's probably a 101. But we are now headed into live rounds here where we really get to see these players go off here. Gonna keep it on Kiosk. I want to see how well he does in the first round.
Kios here actually fighting a little bit with Cosmos for first place.
Yeah.
Both two players actually in between point one of each other, as Tubes and Unanimous are both over a second behind them. Kios with a more inside line actually overtakes Cosmos here. Wow, this is really close.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible. It looked like Cosmos took a little bit of a wall touch there. Either that or a really big release, but that will be first for Kiosk in the first round here. Cosmos takes second, Tubes third, and Unanimous fourth. So Kiosk starting out strong here with that mid 101. That is a really good time here.
Yep.
Taking a look at the runner up from last round here, Cosmos. really, really good here.
Got a good three-way battle here going on for first in between Kiosk, Cosmos, and Tubes. Unanimous, unfortunately, making a couple mistakes earlier, so he's out of the fight. Cosmos actually less than 1/10 behind Kiosk. Closing in on that gap
Oh,
gets a little bit of airtime though. That is gonna give him a big drop down.
wow. And this line from Tubes is catching Cosmos right here at the end. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. Kiosk takes first again. That's 2 rounds in a row. Absolutely incredible from Kiosk here. Tubes is going to take second this round, but that was a very, very good battle for first between those three players.
Absolutely. We see now a tie in the scoreboard between second and third as we go into third round. Let's take a look at Kiosk again.
Take another look at Kiosk here. See if he can't keep up this absolute dominant win streak that he's keeping. Again, these good lines with good exit speed is what's really keeping him in first.
Yeah, Kiosk is driving very solid lines here in this map. I wonder if he has this kind of consistency in all the other maps. What do you think?
Um, if he does, it's an absolute shoo-in for first. If he can play this consistently in all the other maps, 100% he's getting first in the rounds.
Yeah. Kiosk actually with losing a little bit of time here on Cosmos, but still up ahead, should be enough to guarantee his first place here in this third round. And yep, there's another 101. This man is driving great times.
Mhm. I kind of want to see the POV of Unanimous coming up here because that would be very, very interesting to see what is happening in his runs. That's costing him over a second each round.
Ooh, gets airtime there. Yeah, that's
That's
already a
already
big
hurting
drop
him.
down.
And
Yep,
that's a
and
big,
that's
big
a
crash.
crash. Oh, let's
Sorry.
hop on board here with Tubes actually.
Yeah.
All three
Which
players again in sorry in a bell for first here. Tube's going a little bit wide and it's looking pretty close again.
who's got the better lines here, better exit speed? Cosmos and Kiosk, though, they are just flying.
Very tight battle between these two.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
big crash from Cosmos. He's gonna
has
have
the
to do a
double
standing.
respawn.
Oh, the
Might even
standing respawn.
be enough for Unanimous to catch up if he misses this finish, but he doesn't.
No,
Unanimous
that
actually almost snacks third place there.
that is absolutely insane. But Kiosk goes 4 for 4 here on Yoru as we head over to the next map. Very, very excited to see what map this is going to be. Wow, starting off strong with one of the harder maps in the selection here. We got E squared coming up now.
Would you say it's E2 or E squared? Well, you said
E
E
squared.
squared,
I
but
I was corrected heavily earlier.
I don't know.
Oh
I
yeah.
always called this map E2.
Oh, everyone
I
else
always
did too. Don't worry. But no, it is E squared because where the 2 is, it's an exponent. It's not a number on its own.
so that would
Here,
mean that the previous game from Trackmania is actually Trackmania squared.
if the 2 is in the upper right corner of the letters, yes.
Damn. Taking a little look here at the warm-up in between these players, I have Unanimous going a little bit late into the drift here. Hopefully he realizes that and doesn't make the same mistake in the rounds as we go into the rounds, just talking about that.
We're gonna have a look at Unanimous here. I'm very interested to see how he's gonna play this out. I was playing this map a little bit earlier just to get like familiar with it and how it works and everything. And this is a hard map.
It is, it really is. And one thing that I noticed previously, and I thought it was really interesting, all the blocks that you race on are actually connected with the ground. There are no blocks here that are suspended in the air. They all have a connection with the grass of the stage.
I believe their dirt turn there that they just took was actually suspended.
No, but it still had connections with the ground. Like it was.
Oh yeah, I
it had
guess.
a part touching the ground.
You mean there's nothing like floating?
Yeah, like
Oh, okay.
apart from the decoration, I guess. But
I wouldn't count that.
ooh, Cosmos
Mm.
throws
Very-
away second place by touching the wall there. Unfortunate. But we have Tubes in first place now, actually catching up to Kiosk a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna put him a little bit closer there to the finalist position. So Kiosk still leads with 46 points. So we take a look at Kiosk here. Oh, takes.
He decides to go for that very wiggly line. It is a line that you can take, but it's really, really uncomfortable, at least for me. And it did not pay off this time. He did go for it previous round, did work, but this time, not the best approach.
Yeah, unfortunately, he took it a little bit too inside there, and it sent his car in an awkward position and lost way too much speed. But looking at Tubes here, looking in front of him, his Cosmos just flying.
Cosmos having actually a different line in this dirt. I wonder if he's just going for the low line or he just had to adapt.
Oh, but Tubes is catching him.
Yeah. Oh, this risky. That's Cosmos missing, allowing everybody to pass him. Drops down to 4th because of that. That's gotta hurt.
He was playing so well that entire map. He was flying. Only slightly did Tubes catch up, but that finish, taking that bounce on the sausage there, unfortunately, will send him into last place for that round, but still third on the board. Now looking here, Unanimous takes a really weird line at the very start.
Yeah.
He turns very, very early.
Possibly not his best map. Maybe he just didn't train enough or something.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
honestly, I don't blame him. This map is very difficult to learn, very difficult to play consistently.
And we did just see a small release from Cosmos there going over a certain part, so he didn't clip off the edge. So we're going to see Tubes yet again in first place here on this map.
I believe Tubes has a clean sweep in this map so far. Unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think that's the case.
I thought Kiosk got first round, maybe. Let me see
Cosmos
here.
again missing the finish.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Had to respawn. Unanimous will be able to get third here. Closing the gap a little bit from 4th to 3rd. Is still far from enough to catch up though.
Mm-hmm.
Into the last round here on E squared. Let's hop on board with Tubes actually, who has been doing really well on this map.
Absolutely. As we see Unanimous crash early on there. Unfortunate to see. It's definitely gonna be a battle between Tubes and Cosmos.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
big
Never
crash
mind.
from Cosmos there. So it's in between Tubes and Kiosk. Tubes has quite the lead on Kiosk here by about 2/10.
Tube seems to be gaining a little bit on Kios here, as we go into this very tight outside dirt line here. Both players do it successfully. Tube's still ahead though, in fact increasing his lead by almost 0.1. It's all going to be on the risky finish. We've seen a lot of mistakes. Kiosk
Oh,
actually touches the wall. Tubes manages to get first. Wow. Tubes is
and
really closing into Kiosk, man.
yeah, really trying to claim first here. He's working hard, but that is it's gonna be it for E squared, I believe. I believe that was round 4. So we're gonna head on to the next map here. I'm a little upset I don't get to see Wingman this weekend though. Wingman's probably one of my favorite maps to watch these players run. But we still have phenomenal maps in the lineup. So we are now on ping pong.
Let's see what players are gonna do for this map. Bunch of different lines in a lot of places. Unanimous actually AFK, which is totally fine. Probably taking off a little bit of steam from his head. And Tubes and Kios actually battling it out in the warm up. Both have very similar lines. Cosmos just goes a little bit wider in a couple of turns here.
Yeah, with this one, it's going to be who can get the better exit speed at this point. Who's got the better lines? Who's got the better speed?
Yeah, Cosmos is driving a lot of different lines. Tubes decides to go for a different approach there. Wow, Kiost
Nice.
almost hits the top of the risky finish.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
Uh, this time, actually, no, because that would
Oh.
mean it's an unintentional mistake. Like, you can have too much speed for that. That's not a good thing. But into the rounds we go. Let's take a look here at Unanimous real quick. Different approach here. Opting for a little bit more of exit speed. He's catching up to the other players.
It's working. Oh my gosh. He got so close to that wall there. And actually going to
Cosmos
overtake Cosmos.
yeah, Cosmos touched the wall there a little bit. Very close fight between Tubes and Kios here.
Absolutely.
Kios actually takes Tubes.
Tubes is right there on him though.
And
Not gonna be
it's
enough.
Kios. Yep. 50.1. Very good time here.
Very solid time. Oh my gosh. Great run.
Kios increasing his lead to 8 points now. It was only 4 previously. Kios is really pushing for first here. He's been doing very well in these maps.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at Cosmos here, falling behind a little bit. Goes for a tighter drift, not quite enough.
No, he's
Falls
gonna for
behind.
exit speed.
Yep. Fighting it out here with Unanimous for third place. Slightly wobbly dirt here, loses out on a bit of speed, almost clips the turn there. I'm amazed how he did not lose any speed from that.
That was very, very impressive.
And wow, Kios with a 49 here. Very good
That
time.
is insane.
Tubes as well with a flat 50. these players are going at it, dude.
They are, and they're so close in points too, 84 to 72.
Into the third round here on ping pong. Let's take a small look at Tubes, who was actually battling with Kiosk in previous round for first. Actually battling it out with Cosmos this time, but Cosmos goes too wide.
Nice. Kiosk is now passing Cosmos, kind of coming out of nowhere.
Just still a little bit behind Tubes here. 0.2 is slightly
Oh.
catching up here. Ooh, Tubes has to release a little bit, and Kios is closing in. It's all gonna be in this risky finish. Who has the better line here? Oh,
Oh my gosh.
oh, that was such a good round. That finish was so close.
100th separated these two in that round. That is insane. But we have Kios here, potentially one round away from finalist. Just needs to get first or second here to claim it. Doesn't need to.
Isn't finalist the 121? Or are the
It's
points
100.
wrong? It's 100? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 121 now. My apologies. It was 100 for the last rounds.
Huh. Slight change in the points here, but yeah, speaking of Kios, actually in first place here. Tubes is possibly too far behind to catch up in this finish. Tubes literally just needs second place here to go into finalist mode. Actually, no, it's 121. I'm confusing myself.
Yeah.
But he manages to get first place with a 49 again. Really good time by Kios here in this map.
Yeah, if you're Cosmos or Unanimous right now, you're just looking and going, how risky do I have to play at my skill level in order to catch up to these incredible players of Tubes and Kiosk?
Into Artificer, actually my own map here.
Okay. Oh, you made this entire thing?
Yeah.
Very nice.
This, I would say this is my best map so far, but I still see a couple of problems with it. I've seen players complain about a couple of drifts, and I gotta be honest, I agree. Not the best ideas. So let's see here. Very important.
Drift specifically.
Oh, the this actually doesn't go for the triangle here. The drifts after this plastic part right here, and the last drift, which we will see in a bit. Both are actually kind of blind. This one just, I have to blame it a little bit on the geometry of that block that turned to right-hander. Kind of awkward, but the first drift is actually like extremely blind, and the entrance is pretty awkward. But I think like overall, everything else is extremely good, for at least my standards. But we go into rounds, and Kios actually starts off with a mistake here, 0.3 behind. He's gonna have to catch up here to the other players.
He's definitely gonna have to play a little bit risky here, as 2 first places will, well, actually a second and a first here. That's all he needs in order to get finalist.
No, actually, second and first would leave him at
Oh.
120. It would be 1 point short.
That'd be frustrating. Ooh.
Small touch on the wall there from Tubes, drops down from first place. It's actually Cosmos up ahead.
Yeah. Oh. Nah, I unfortunately got to witness Tubes taking a very heavy crash.
Ooh,
into one of the pillars. So that is going to throw him down into fourth for that round.
that pillar is also one of the things people complain about. But it's there to tell you the line, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to blame that on skill issue. I'm joking, obviously. But... Into the second round, Tubes up ahead, followed by Cosmos and Kios. Unanimous dropping behind again. Not really the best lines here. Let's take a look at Kiosk, currently in third place, trying to catch up to Cosmos and Tubes. Ooh, Tubes actually touches the triangle slightly, doesn't lose out on too much speed, but allows Cosmos to catch up.
Ever so slightly.
Ooh, Kiosk goes a little bit too outside, touches the wall on the dirt uphill. Could have snatched third place from that, but it's not quite able to. Now it's the risky Finn, goes for a tighter approach than Cosmos, actually snipes him. And a
Wow.
53.4 from Tubes. That is a good time.
All Kiosk needs to do is get a first or second here, and he's guaranteed a finalist.
So let's take a small look at Cosmos here, right in the middle of the battle for first. He
Actually
has
ends up
been-
taking first.
Yeah, just as I said, battling it out here with Tubes, very close fight. Cosmos actually managed to take first place in one of these runs in this map, so perhaps this is his best opportunity to catch up to Tubes here, maybe closing in the gap for second place. As
Ooh.
Tubes makes a mistake, goes into the wall. Kios now in second place will be enough to get him in finals if he keeps this position. Cosmos actually slides out a little bit. It's Kios in first. And
Wow.
Cosmos in second. Tubes right after.
Yeah. I would
And
say
now,
Tubes is probably guaranteed second.
yeah, possibly. Unless Cosmos, I don't know, drives miracle times.
Yeah. Well, Cosmos has been looking really, really good on this map.
Yeah, but
So
this is the last round, so he has to go at it.
we might see some riskier things come out from Kiosk here. As we are heading into that. Look like Cosmos hit the wall there.
Yeah, possibly.
Unfortunate.
It's Tubes and Kios here. Tubes the only one with the possibility of denying Kios the win. It's looking very close here. Does get a little bit of airtime though. As they go into this right-hander uphill, very tight turn. Tubes actually drops his gear. And that will allow Kios to run away with it. And wow, Kios almost misses the finish, but manages to get first place here. And he will close out the finalist status. He is through.
Yep. We do have confirmation on that one. Very, very impressive.
Kios driving very solidly in all the maps. Very impressive performance here.
Kios has been looking amazing.
Yeah.
You
Now
hyped him up to the right amount.
Into kickback. Tubes with 107 points. Just needs a first place and a second place, I believe. Cosmos
he can
with
actually get third.
Can get third? 4 points?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can get a third place here. Cosmos at 72 points and Unanimous at 53. It is really looking like Tubes is just gonna take second place here quite easily. But
It'd be very, very hard not to get second here. Yeah, like you just said, anything can happen. We've seen Cosmos. He's starting to pick it up. I think starting to shake off the nerves maybe a little bit.
He was just warming up still.
Yeah.
First couple of maps.
I imagine all these players are probably feeling some nerves here. Like they're in the lower bracket. They need to play their hearts out. Otherwise, they are going down to the consolation bracket.
Yeah. 3 seconds left in the warm-up here. Players finishing out their runs as we go into rounds. Let's take a look here at tubes, actually. All players doing very good starts. No big mistakes so far. Tubes driving actually a little bit tighter to the wall is gonna pay off quite well here.
Wow, Tubes play that super risky. He wants that guaranteed finalist as soon as possible. Tubes has so much speed.
A little bit of a slower line on that turn, but that's fine as he is still far ahead in the lead.
Yeah.
0.3 of a difference. As we go into the last turn here, goes a little bit wide, but is also fine as Cosmos is too far away. Tubes now at 117 points, only needs third in the next round to get finalist.
Mm-hmm. Now, in my personal opinion, I think Kickback has the coolest finishing section.
Why would you say so?
It looks clean. It's not insanely hard. The riskies in a perfect spot. It is just it looks nice. It's my personal favorite. Others are also really great. Your risky finish. It's cool. And it's also killed a bunch of my gold medal runs.
Happens. But into the second round here. Actually, Cosmos and Tubes fighting it out here for first place. Very close fight. Only 700s. And Cosmos clips the hole, allowing Tubes to just run away with first place here. Will get finalist if he closes out this run.
Now, are we gonna see a full risk or are we gonna see a like half risk from Tubes in this next round? Because he just needs first place here.
Honestly, I can't even tell if Tubes is risking or not because he's just driving so consistent and so well that I seriously just I can't tell.
And he's got quite the lead on Cosmos. Cosmos needs 4 firsts in a row in order to get the finalist.
And by the looks of it, even though we are only 20 seconds in, Tubes already has a pretty solid lead here. Unless he makes a mistake,
Ooh.
that is a big caster's curse. And that is one round of finals thrown away. As he even
He's just gonna
DNFs.
DNF.
Yeah, fair enough, honestly.
7 seconds behind. I feel like any of us probably would DNF in that situation.
Yeah, not much you can do about it, but I hope
Yeah.
that doesn't affect his mental too much, as it's only one round and he still has plenty to win.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's still got comfortably 3 more rounds at the very least in order to claim second place here.
Dubs is just driving like really good lines here in this map. Already in the start, he manages to gain 0.2 almost every round.
His start to this map is incredible.
Dubs still increasing his lead to Cosmos. Now at almost 0.4 of a second.
Hmm.
Just needs to save it at this point. No really need of risking it since he's got a pretty decent lead here. Still going a little bit wide there. Perhaps it's just his choice of line. And that is a 52.9. very good time to close out his finalists here.
Very, very good time, yes.
And
It's gonna get him second.
we go into Yoru. Cosmos at 100 points needs 2 first places and 1 more point from basically anywhere. And Unanimous 71 points, 29 points behind Cosmos, is in a pretty tough situation here.
It's definitely gonna be tough. Pretty much, if Unanimous wants a chance here, he has to take first place every single round.
Yeah, basically. He's gonna have to play out of his mind to be able to get third here. But as what it seems, Unanimous hasn't been doing very well in this map based on previous performances. Even this very round,
Yeah. Oh.
keep in mind this is warm-up,
Oh.
so
Cosmos having a rough warm up. Suppose Unanimous did too. That's always the funny thing about warm ups. You see some players going for a little bit riskier, and then you just see them crash a bunch. It's always interesting to watch. Oh, Unanimous going for the cut.
and we are going into rounds.
All right.
Let's see what these players have to deliver here in this map. Potentially the last map if Cosmos manages to get all first places here. Actually, no, I can get a couple of seconds, I believe.
Just gonna have to see Cosmo clutch up after he hits that 121 threshold.
And there goes Unanimous. Gets an unfortunate bounce on the plastic. Kills all of his speed. Cosmos is just has to cruise this run in. Even releases. Now he has a big lead here.
Yeah, he's full safe in now.
I would do the same, honestly. No
Yeah.
point in risking. 9 seconds of a lead. Can afford to even make a standing respawn, probably. Won't even have to, just has to walk into this risky finish, and that is the first place.
Which is funny that we call that one the. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I find it kind of funny that we call that one the risky finish when the safe finish is arguably more risky.
Well, it is a lot slower, to be fair, because of the slow motion, but
Yeah.
well, so much for a safe finish, right?
Yeah.
Cosmos now with a 43-point lead. He has a lot of rounds to work with, and he's only 11 points away from finalists. As Unanimous is already falling behind, almost 0.5 of a second.
Cosmos has been driving really, really well on this map. Driving very, very consistent.
Ends up dropping the gear there, but should be fine as he still has a little bit of a lead. Touches the wall, that's gonna throw his lead away. Unanimous catches up, overtakes him even. Now we got ourselves a fight here. Struggling a bit.
Unanimous has a bit of a rough finishing section there, but still not enough for Cosmos to catch up fully, which he almost did, only losing by a 10th.
Cosmos is still alright though, he just needs to finish to get finalists here. Unanimous is still 39 points away.
Yeah, Unanimous pretty much needs to pray that Cosmos is going to make consistent mistakes at this point.
Yeah. And speaking about mistakes, Unanimous actually hits the pole and falls very far behind.
He's 3 seconds behind now. Cosmos, he would need to make an absolutely detrimental mistake. He would need to miss the risky in order to lose this one at this point.
Still increasing his gap. Just needs to walk it in like one of the previous rounds. Hits
As
the
he-
wall, but
He's still sitting pretty comfortably though. I think that's only going to close it down to maybe 7 seconds, 6 maybe. Yeah. It's going to be a finalist for Cosmos. We head in to a potential last round here. I've got hopes for Unanimous though. You know, he's been looking pretty rough on this map. I kind of want to see him push for a bit more of a fight. Maybe grab a couple first places.
as we're going to last round here on Yoru, if Unanimous manages to snipe or deny Cosmos the win here, which is not looking like so, as he just made a mistake.
Yeah, which is gonna set him approximately a second and a half, 2 seconds. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that gap is increasing as he is really, really slow now with that mistake. Very
Mhm.
unfortunate. Perhaps the nerves got the best of him. Cosmos
Yeah,
again just needs to walk this in.
I can't say I'd be too calm in a situation like Unanimous is.
Yeah. Three seconds of a lead for Cosmos. Unless he makes a big mistake, this will be third place for Cosmos.
As we head into the final dirt section here. And into the risky.
And
And
that's
that
it.
will be it.
Yep. Kiosk first, Tube second, Cosmos third, and Unanimous fourth.
Mhm. Very, very good gameplay from all of them, though. Unanimous. He had tough opponents. Definitely the
Yeah,
underdog in that situation. Cosmos
absolutely.
proving himself. Tubes and Kiosk obviously showing what they're made of. Kiosk especially is a name I'm kind of new to, but I'm not disappointed by his performance by any means at all.
Yeah, Kiosk, the only Brazilian player in this tournament, is actually holding up pretty good. From what I've seen from Time Attack, he didn't have the best times among the other players, but he still definitely had pretty decent times here. And we see that Kiosk had um,
Kiosk was looking phenomenal in that, taking multiple first places in a row in sections. He dominated that lobby. Tubes just as well in second place.
take a small look here at one of the other rounds happening. Uh, it's Dogiri and Simon fighting for third here. Simon makes an early mistake.
That horn. Yeah.
Ooh, Dogiri touches the wall though. Allows Simon to catch up a little bit. Ooh,
Ooh.
that's Simon overtaking now. Dog is falling really far behind. Has to double respawn.
And this is one
Shit.
heck of a map to end on.
Yeah, this map is very difficult.
Hmm.
Easily the hardest map in the map pack. Still a good map, but it's definitely hard.
I was trying to play it on Discovery, and needless to say, I didn't know where to go. I missed 3 checkpoints my first run.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? My internet died for a second.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I was just saying how I missed 3 checkpoints on my first run of this because I
oh,
didn't know where
yeah.
to go.
Yeah, that's Simon for third in this round, and Dogeri, the
That's gonna be
Chilean
it.
player, unfortunately fourth. And that
So-
will be it for this round. We'll be back in, I'd say maybe 15 minutes, half an hour max, for the next round. And it's looking pretty good in the next round, I'm gonna be honest. But
Yep.
yeah, guys, see you then.
And welcome back, everyone. We are here with upper bracket round 2. Very excited, some phenomenal players. But just as phenomenal in the booth with me, I have Kyle still.
Hello. We're gonna be watching the second round here on upper brackets. We have Lingo, Fegley, Wrestling, and Charles. And this is looking really stacked. This is gonna be a tight one.
This is going to be insane, absolutely. These competitors, they know what they're doing. We've seen them in seeding. These guys know what's going on.
And the other match, we actually have Neil, North, Zetins, and BMQS. Actually pretty interesting. We have 2 French Canadians in both matches in upper brackets.
No, I'm not
I
complaining.
I wonder if that's on purpose.
I don't know, because round 1, we had 5 French Canadians, and then
Oh,
Mitch.
right, yeah. And then Mitch. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But do you have any predictions on who might take first and second here?
I think between first and second, it's going to be a battle between Lingo and Fegley.
I haven't seen Fegley, so I don't know how well he's gonna do. But I know that Charles is really good too.
Yeah, but the only thing I have about Fegley is the fact that he's a veteran in this kind of scene. Like, he is incredible. He's a phenomenal player. He does he does big tournaments, right? Like, Fegley is good, and that's what makes me think that it's going to be between him and Lingo. Charles is definitely up there. If one of those two doesn't get first or second, Charles is definitely my next pick for that.
Yeah. Ooh, Fegley actually hit the top of the finish.
Uh-oh, Kyle.
I blame randomize for asking me to do the risky.
Half a block higher and you would have been fine. Actually, half a block higher, you might have actually needed that speed to make the finish.
I think if I just swapped that platform finish for a like third one or something, that would have been better. But
I think for maybe a ring, like a small ring finish.
That could be too. Only 25 seconds left here in the pre-match warm-up.
So I just realized this. You guys how insane the lobby has to be in order for me to go, Wrestling is the underdog here?
Yeah, Wrestling is
because
really
he's
good,
just as good as the rest of them.
Yeah. Charles is actually turning backwards.
Hold on. That's hilarious. And someone redeemed it in the stream. Actually, I don't know if Charles is live or not.
I don't think so. I'm just gonna double check. No, he's not.
I was gonna say, if he is, I'm gonna go in there and just request a bunch of troll songs from Spotify.
Just request like, I don't know, a Chem 3 round.
I have enough points for it.
Yeah.
Watch Charles enough.
Play on keyboard for 10 minutes. Oh god.
I don't Cam 3 I could do to him in rounds. I don't think I'd make him do keyboard in rounds though. Just watching Fegley right now in warm up is insane.
Wow, goes really close to that wall.
He's playing really wit. Is he going for a world record in warm ups? Hold up.
No.
Oh. Saw Lingo fly off.
Yeah, went very tight there.
I think it blows my mind that these players can build enough speed to hit the top of that risky though.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be honest, intentional line was not going outside dirt. It was actually like middle. But turns out that outside dirt is possible and is actually faster, so whoops.
Yeah. That's what happens when pros get onto your maps. They do things that you thought were slow.
But
All right,
yeah,
as we
match
enter
started.
into rounds,
Yep.
and Bagley with
We
an
have-
early lead here. Wow, where did Lingo come from?
Dude, all players are really close together here. Charles just slightly behind, still within reach from all the other 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo and Fagley really fighting it out here, very close to
Yeah.
each other.
You
Raistlin
have
catching up a little
Rasslin.
bit. Yep.
Yeah, you have Raceland right there. Holy crap.
49-6 first round. Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Gee,
Also,
this is gonna be
for reference, that is 3/10 away from world record.
what the right. These players are pushing the limits to the maximum.
Well, look who's in the lobby. You have to play risky here.
Yeah. I mean,
You play safe, you're losing. Lingo's lines are so incredible. He catches up so easily. Frankly, he's not making it easy though.
is Fagley a keyboard player? I'm seeing like a lot of tapping from him.
No. Thankfully,
yeah.
I have my dashboard on so I can see that he's doing partial turns. It's smooth steering.
Another 49 coming in. This is gonna be the regular time here, I feel like.
49s? Oh yeah, 100%.
And if we see a 50, Padron.
Lingo taking an early start here.
Again, all players really close to each other. Fagley goes a little bit for more insight, but Lingo still has a pretty good lead as Wrestling is actually closing in a little bit. But Lingo has been really consistent in this map.
Yes.
We
He
see
is phenomenal.
yeah.
Always run it. Like, it's bizarre to think that someone has more than a tenth of a lead.
Oh my god, what is that line? How did he survive that? 0.65.
10.
What is this guy, man? Is
What did he
going
eat for
world
breakfast?
record? Yeah. Is he going for world record in rounds? Like, what's going on here? Is this time attack all of a sudden?
I mean, I know Lingo to an extent, and I've never not seen him play a little bit risky. He's like one of those like 3/4 risk kind of players in every situation. Like I've seen him full risk in Division 1 on first round in Cup of the Day. Like first knockout round, and he's playing like he's going for a world record.
Well, to be
And it
fair,
worked.
first rounds in Cup of the Day usually have huge mistakes and such.
Still
So
risking
like-
that much, like if you crash, you're done in round in Division 1.
Dude, this guy, another 0.6. Like, hello.
That's 3. 3 out of 4 runs, he got the 0.6.
This guy
I don't even
needs to
think
chill.
Fegley has a chance at this point. All right, maybe a different map will settle Lingo down a little.
All right,
Ooh,
let's
and it's
see.
on yours.
Yeah, let's see what my map is gonna do to him. We have Lingo, I almost said Bingo, in first, followed by Fagley, Wrestling, and Charles. Lingo actually with a somewhat comfortable lead here, 13 points ahead. And Charles and Wrestling and Fagley all really close to each other in the scoreboard.
I know this is warm up, but look at Lingo fly already. Oh, never mind.
Bonk.
Immediately bonks. Oops. That wasn't world record pace. How bizarre would it be if someone got world record in rounds?
Ah, from what I'm seeing,
It could happen, I guess. Yeah.
it could happen. Yeah.
That is a really
Alarm
cool,
goes.
risky finish, though.
It's mostly just a speed check. A very different speed check, but it's just a speed check. And we go into rounds on Artificer. You see Charles with a slightly slower start, going too wide on this first turn.
Yeah.
Raceland clips, falls behind now.
It's going to be between Bingo and Fegley here. Fego goes for more of an outside line, but it allows him to build up more speed.
Lingo had a little bit of a slowdown there, not sure what happened. Must have leaves or something. And now Fegley, Lingo and Charles all very close together. All get the drift pretty smoothly. Oh, Charles touches the wall though. It's Fegley
Fegley.
and I said bingo. Screw it, bingo.
Oh, that
really,
line. Okay,
really
Lingo.
good line there. 53-1. Now, from what I've seen from a couple of streams of Lingo, he can do like 52s if he really pushes it. And 52 is really good time. Like, really, really good time.
Yeah, I want to know where he's getting that he could just, be within 0.3 of the record every single attempt. Who's letting him get away with this?
So, into round 2 here, all players are again very close to each other. Fegley falls a little bit behind since he had a little bit of the airtime into the transition. Charles has a very wide line, falls behind a little bit, and it's Lingo again first place. Weisling, his fellow Canadian, actually trying to fucking snipe him. It's very close to each other here. Lingo almost touching the wall, very impressive line. Into the final drift. We see
my
Lingo almost
gosh.
touching the pole. Fegley actually has to release. And 53-0, that is...
flat.
Wow.
Someone stop this man. Like, this
Yeah,
has
this
to
guy-
be illegal in at least in somewhere in the world.
He has too much of a lead here, dude. Like 24 points ahead of every other player in this lobby, and this lobby isn't even bad.
No, like
hello?
everyone in here is good on their own, like in their own regard. Like they're all insane players.
Fegley with
Now-
an early mistake, not sure what happened there.
No, Lingo did warm up for about like 2 hours. I mean, I said warmed up for 2 hours. Him and Wrestling both did. They were playing together actually, so it's actually kind of funny that we see them against each other here.
I wonder what's going on in the voice chat with all these players right now.
Well, Wrestling's deafened.
Oh, is he? Lingo
Yeah.
must be singing.
He was in he was in Time Attack actually. 53-2. Okay, finally a slow time in regards to only Lingo. Everyone else would be happy with that time.
Yeah, this guy's out of his mind. 64 points already.
Well,
And
he's
we're
30
not even
points in
done
the
with this.
lead.
We're not even done with the second map, and he's already halfway to finalist.
I mean, we're talking about the second seeded player here, but still. Oh, that was. Ooh, that sent Lingo back. He went a little bit too wide. He's catching up though. How is he catching up?
Yeah, but let's actually talk about the other players here. Charles is currently fighting for first here with Fegley.
Mm.
Is tied in the scoreboard with Wrestling actually. And it's turning out to be a pretty good fight. He has had some struggles here with this dirt uphill. Manages to... Ooh! Did do the turn, but clips the CP a little bit, is gonna put him a little bit far behind, and Lingo fucking comes out of nowhere again. almost, almost snipes first place, even with a mistake like that.
It's
This guy.
300s.
This guy, man.
I mean, he could have gotten last 2 rounds in a row and still been in first with points.
Oh my god. Into the
He's
third
the
now.
definition of big chilling.
Yeah. Kickback. Wow, looking at the scoreboard here, just ignoring Lingo, the scores are pretty close here.
Oh yeah, second place is going to be a fight.
Yeah.
They all play so close to each other here on kickback. Ooh, Lingo knows the line. Fake has a lot of speed though for an inside line.
Yeah, ends up going a little bit too outside there though.
Yeah.
Dude, if this warm-up repeats itself in rounds, it's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's so
If-
close
if-
to each other.
If we see this in rounds, that'd be epic. Mainly because Lingo's on first.
Oh, Charles just decides to throw, I guess. Well, we don't get to see what times those were, but if I had to make a guess, probably 52 something.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I'd imagine probably like 52.8 from both Fegley and Lingo. They looked pretty close together there. We are now in live rounds. We get to see a real battle. These players are not messing around now. These lines.
We have Fagley dropping behind just a little
Mhm.
bit here. Ooh,
Oh.
Charles though hits the wall.
Huge hit there. So it's a battle between Raceland and Lingo here. Raceland staying on his tail.
Lingo is actually running away with it a little bit.
Yeah, he's
Fagley
sitting
and-
pretty comfortable now.
Yeah, Fagley trying to snipe Raceland from that second place, but ends up clipping the plastic part.
So he's got
There's a 52.
52.6.
Yep. Average Lingo dings.
So we've upgraded. Instead of 0.3, it's 0.2 within world record.
This guy.
Do I hype up Fegley too much? Like, it seems like he's on a slow start. I don't doubt that he's going to pick it up, but he isn't looking strong on these maps in comparison to the rest of the players.
Ooh, Lingo touches the wall there. Finally a mistake from this guy. He has been stopped. And we see Fagley in first here.
Raceland, better line there. Does end up getting first place. Coming through this plastic section here. Let's head into dirt.
Ooh, wrestling. Not sure what happened there, but touches the wall or something. Charles now up to second place. Closing in on Fagley here. Might actually be able to snipe if he has a really good line here. Goes a little bit further inside, but doesn't have enough speed for the overtake.
No. And that's going to be Fegley with his first place with a 53.1.
Lingo, even with that mistake, manages to get third place here. Dude.
At this point, I don't think it matters what place Lingo's in. I think it matters where the rest of them are. He's so far ahead of the competition that at this point we're watching a battle for second. As we see Fegley here in second already. Kind of catching Lingo a little bit. So we see Raceland actually take over now. Him and Fegley are battling for second, wondering who can catch Lingo first.
Actually, both players closing in on Lingo, who had a slower line. Fagley goes really inside here.
It's going to close the gap just that little bit more. But Raceland also going in. See a bit of an inside from Fegley here.
Oh my god.
And it's the
Oh,
French Canadians on
three
top
thousandths of a
by
second.
3. Oh my gosh. 3 thousandths separated these two. And a 52.7 from Lingo.
Just lingo dings.
Like, how bad is it? 52.7. That's a really impressive time. He's broke us. We don't react to 52s. That's a problem.
I don't know, it just right off the bat, Lingo just seems to have a better start. It's actually Charles looking really good here too.
I think if Fegley gets down at Lingo's start, I think it's going to be a true battle for first place constantly between him and Lingo.
Yeah, actually, pretty close fight here for first. Fegley just
Charles is
slightly
gaining.
behind. Yeah, Charles is pretty close to Lingo here. It's
And
challenging.
Fegley's not too far behind Charles.
Oh, Charles is really pushing. He almost clicked that plastic. Actually closes in a little bit. Another 52.6. Like, come on, man.
If he drops a 52.5, I'm done. I'm retiring from casting if that happens.
No way.
If someone drops a 52.5, anyone on that map today, I'm done. We get Yoru here, which is a pretty epic map. I'm not gonna lie. I really like this map.
Lingo is only 17 points away from finalist. Man, speedrunning, dude. Come on.
He's speedrunning rounds. Like, I get this game's kind of a speedrun game, but like, come on.
Speedrunning a competition, dude.
This is how Carl Jr. feels in World Tour.
It's Carl Jr.
Don't give him another alias. He has enough of those. You're actually discussing it before. This man has had like 20 name changes. Should we go back to his original name? Just call him Balingo. His OG name.
Nah, I think he's just gonna stick with Lingo at this point.
Ooh,
Bruh.
Lingo not getting the risky though.
Went too low there.
Hopefully he doesn't do that in rounds. That would probably hurt.
Surely he threw on purpose.
Surely.
Oh, Charles' early mistake here, clipping the ramp there.
This battle for first right now. Look how close these three are. I say that as Lingo just absolutely pulls ahead.
Pressing B for boost here. And yeah, it doesn't have the best line on the grass. Allows Raceland to catch up a little bit. Really clean dirt line though is gonna go slightly further ahead. Oh, Raceland
line.
Yeah, Raceland goes flying off that. Tries to push too much. See?
Fegley slowly losing his gain on Lingo here. And Lingo drops a one flat 1.7.
Yeah.
Freaking 1.7.
I don't know, this guy.
For everyone watching, that's 0.1 away from world record. What? Did world record change? Like, did I miss something? I updated these this afternoon, like before everyone started.
World record is a 0.6. What did he do?
0.632. Okay.
0.62.
Jeez. Charles
Oh,
putting up a
yes.
fight though. Look at these lines from Charles.
I guess all players are really, really risking it now, seeing what time Lingo drove last round.
As
Lingo
how
actually,
close. It's a battle for first between Lingo and Charles.
Charles has a little bit of a worse drift here. Still,
Can he get a better line to finish though?
dude, this is so close. What is this?
Gosh.
Come on, Charles, snipe him now.
No.
Oh, dude, another
Wow.
0.7. I think that's Charles'
Two
PB.
1.7s.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Charles
that's a
just
PB for Charles.
0.78. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
unstoppable.
Also,
And
Lingo's
he's
now a
finally.
finalist,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be here for a while afterwards.
Yeah.
Like next up is 75 points.
This man can't even be caster's cursed. Like, come on, dude. Fail or something. I don't know. Content.
Content. Throw for content.
That's not you, Racelin. God damn it, don't hit the CP, dude.
Oh, this is again between Charles and Lingo. Where did
Ooh.
Charles come from? He had a rough start, but he's flying now.
Did both players just drop the gear there? Ooh, Charles going really inside. Oh, yep, there it is.
There we go. He can make a mistake. He is human.
Thank you, Lingo.
Just had to confirm, that someone was human here.
Yeah.
This is still going to be a really good time too. A 101.2. That is a very respectable time.
And we see actually Charles catching up closer to second here. What is what?
Oh, it just took a little bit longer for Lingo to finish than I had thought of. I didn't realize he was 6 seconds behind. That was a really big mistake by Lingo.
Ooh, early mistake from Racelin.
Raceland's really trying to cut it close here. Charles and Fetty really battling it out for the second place. Potentially first if they can constantly keep beating Lingo. But that would imply Lingo has to make a mistake every round.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, we've seen Charles catch up to Lingo before.
Yeah,
And we've
it's
seen
definitely
Fegley play
possible.
close to Lingo. 100% possible.
Yeah, Charles is already catching up a little bit.
Yeah. And Fegley's right there with him.
Yeah. They're both trying to catch up to Lingo. Lingo actually gets a little bit too wide here.
It's not gonna matter. He's so far ahead, dude. Oh my lines? Hello, Charles?
Oh, but that doesn't pay off. And that's Lingo for first place.
It's a 1.6.
Another. That's world record.
You just world record. What?
Dude, come on. Last round,
What?
man's already finalist.
For
and
finalist, he got
just
first.
drops a world record. Like, stop.
Who is this guy?
Oh my god. Into E squared now. Fight for second. In between Fegley, Charles, and Raceland. Raceland actually a little bit far behind here.
Definitely the battle right now is between Charles and Fegley. You know what's funny is Lingo just got world record on that map when he has world record on this one. He avoided a map that he has world record on. Ooh, Charles, big mistake at the start. What? Okay.
Warm up.
I keep forgetting there's a warm up. Okay, so in our ears, we have voices in our heads. Just told us that Neil actually dropped a world record as well at the exact same time as Lingo's, but Lingo's is just slightly better.
Yeah,
So
Neil
that means
got a 632 and Lingo got a 615. Oh my god.
that means there are now 3 1.6s on the leaderboard, which is insane. And Raceland with a pretty good warm up run there.
Let's see how they do in the rounds, though. That's what matters.
Very, very true. What makes it look promising? But can you keep the consistency in rounds?
Wow, very
Ooh.
wobbly line here.
It's going to be
Doesn't
between
really
Charles
pay
and
off.
Fegley.
Oh, Charles goes a little bit too inside. Has to do an extra drift there. Drops the gear in as a result of that. And it's falling a little bit behind Fagley here.
He is catching up quick. Oh,
Never
tap
mind.
the wall.
Not anymore.
Someone fire me.
Now. Has a 0.5 lead here. 0.6 even. It's
Just this
closing
last
in
pull here.
for the finish.
No, he took that very, very wide. Playing it very, very safe. Understanding his lead.
Makes
Very
the
clean
risky
finish.
104.1.
Which is a pretty solo time. I want to see a 103 though. I'd be very happy to see a 103.
103 here is a really, really good time. Like, you need to push hard to get 103.
Mm-hmm.
By the looks of it, this is not Raceland's best map here. He falls behind pretty quickly at the start.
Oh. Oh.
Okay. Reverse caster scars, I
Sorry.
guess?
Caster's blessing?
Yes, yeah.
Charles catching him though. Waited till around the dirt turn to say that. Charles is playing it fairly risky here to try to catch Raceland. It's working too, for right now.
If
There we
Charles
go.
manages... Oh, never mind.
Even when I try to be careful with my words, it doesn't work.
Now, this first place for Wrestling here is pretty huge. He is gonna catch up quite a bit to the other two players in the scoreboard.
Especially
And
with Charles
it's...
getting last.
Yes.
It's gonna really close that gap between wait.
Fegley now only 20 points away from finalist. Needs 2 wins. As the other players are all over 10 points away. Raceland's still going for that really wonky line in the dirt. Not quite sure if that's really what you want to do here.
If you get the first bounce and not the second one, it does give you a little bit more speed.
Wow, Charles going really close to that wall there. He's really pushing to try and fight for first place here.
Mm-hmm.
Has a little bit of a better line. Has to release there just to make sure he doesn't hit the wall. Both players are inside each other right now. That's how close the battle is.
This is insane. And oh, Charles with a better line on the dirt. It's gonna all come down to this. Oh my gosh, Charles is just kind of flying now. Hold up.
Yeah, he had really good exit speed there.
Fagley's right there with him though. It's gonna just come
Ooh,
down.
104.0,
104.
almost a 103. That's very good time from Charles.
That is very impressive. I'm very content with that. I don't even need the 103 now. And Raceland's struggling here, and this is not a spot where you want to struggle. You're 84 points or 16 points behind the person in front of you. Raceland needs to pull ahead here. So let's see here.
Fagley already pushing a little bit ahead. As I just said that he's making a mistake.
Yep.
Caster scores strong in this stream, boys.
It is very strong right now. It's like we got in the booth and it's like everything you say is just like comes to light. It's like, oh, this player's playing really well and bonk.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about Charles just in case you, you know.
Let's have a look at Raceland as him and Fagley fight for second here.
Yeah, Fegley actually managed to recover from that mistake pretty well. He's catching up quite a lot here.
I think Raceland must have hit a wall or something then.
Oh yeah, he did
Well, he
just now.
definitely just did.
How are we so good
That's-
at Caster's Curse?
that- That
There's
is not
no
even a
way.
caster's curse. That is speaking it into existence. That was straight manifestation.
Oh my god. Charles
But
is only 3 points away now from Fegley. So
a win
this
here from either. Nope. No.
next map.
Okay, so all Charles needs to do is make sure Fegley doesn't get first. If Charles can get first here, it'll put him in a spot where we could have a double finalist.
And we're back to ping pong. Now we've seen what players can do here in this map. It's all gonna be on who drives risk here.
Which is very unfortunate because unfortunately this is one of Charles's not favorites. Oh, what a
As he just
line!
pulls ahead. like
Okay,
crazy.
never mind.
Unfortunately,
Players
this is
curse on the
warm-up.
caster. What a line! Warm up or not, that's beautiful. Let's see him do that in rounds. Holy crap! Oh, I wish I could see their time. I want to know what pace he's on right now.
Oh, really close to the walls here.
I want to know if that was PB. That was a
Nah,
great
I don't
run.
think so. Now, we need only one win from Fegley here
Mm-hmm.
for him to be finalist, and Charles actually needs 11 points, so one first place is not enough. Raceland
but
really needs to step it up too as well.
Yeah, and thankfully in Charles' position is if him or Raceling gets first, it's going to prevent Fegley from getting finalist.
Yeah.
So I think Charles is just focused on making sure that Fegley doesn't get finalist, so that way at the very most that both of them can get at the same time.
Yeah,
But
and it looks
Charles,
like it might happen. Fegley is a little bit behind here. If
not
Charles
by
can
a whole
hold that
lot.
lead, yeah, Charles needs to hold that lead. And actually,
Ooh.
Fegley closing in doesn't go for the outside line. That is gonna cost him
That is going to be
49.
slower, and this lines us up for a double finalist.
Potential. Actually, yeah, it's a double finalist. It's just gonna happen
Yeah,
anyway.
it's going to be a double finalist regardless after this round.
Oh wait.
Oh wait,
Huh?
huh?
Did I miscalculate or something? Okay.
No, he had 110. Okay. We now have a finalist from Charles. He just needs to get first here. I say just as if that's easy.
Yeah, we have Raceland and Fegley. Raceland just
Oh,
makes a mistake. It's all on Fegley's hand now to deny Charles the second place here, as he is 0.1 behind from Charles. Still closing in the gap though. Has a really good dirt entrance here. Oh my god.
We are also seeing the same lines that Charles did in his warm-up, which we were very impressed with.
Fegley goes really tight in that corner. He's actually closing in to Charles. This is gonna be a really close end. Oh, but he does not go for the outside line, and that is gonna cost him. That is second place for Charles. Really impressive performance
With a
here.
really good time too, 49.7.
Yeah. Very good regular time here. He did also drop a 49.7 previous round. That is Charles for second.
Definitely a huge win for Charles there, getting second place.
Um, are we playing for third or not? All players are kind of confused.
Does it matter? I didn't think it
know.
mattered.
I mean, I guess. Raceland just stopped. Fegley is going.
Hey, he wants to finish.
Yeah, well, I guess Raceland just kind of gave up. Fegley is already finalist and Raistlin is still at 96 points. He would need like 3 wins in a row.
Not completely out of the question. Iceland was looking pretty good there.
Maybe he's struggling a little bit with the mental. Still, really good performance here by all players. Very well played.
Absolutely.
And that is it for today. We had some really good matches, especially this last one with Lingo just dominating. And wow.
World record in rounds.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy is something else. But we also have seen Charles actually starting off a little bit weak in this first round here. On this last round, sorry. But actually manages to get second overall. A really good performance here.
And he was fighting for that against Fegley. It was close.
Yeah. Dude, these players are just amazing. Their pacing is on another level. I could not compete with these guys even if I wanted to.
Yeah, no, I think I would have quite the time trying to do that.
But that is all for today. Thank you everybody for showing up in chat. Thank you Acronator, thank you Jojo for casting the previous matches. And last but not least, thank you Marcel for hosting the broadcast here. And well, we have more matches coming up tomorrow as well as the finals. So make sure to tune in for that because it's gonna be amazing. So, well, Shaisley, anything else to say?
No, I think you covered everything. As always, it's been a pleasure casting today. Got to see some pretty epic things happen, so I'd say it's a pretty good day, and excited for tomorrow to see what future holds for that.
All right, everybody. So tune in tomorrow to get to see the finals, and this is Kyle with Shaisley tuning out.